I could've been stopped doing this shit. Only reason I do this shit cause the real niggas ask me to. A fake nigga couldn't relate to me. Top gunner, check me out. Only us, check me out. Strap her with a kilo, check me out. Put her on the bus, check me out. Stand up nigga, check me out. Always 100, check me out. You can bring the work back, check me out. If you don't want it, check me out. See mama love me, that's my baby, but papa left me. Yeah, he left me. I put a bitch on timeout if she upset me. That's a fact. Fuck with me, you won't regret me. Still on the mind of every hoe trying to forget me. I get them things across the border. Your man on trial, but you won't go get him a lawyer. What's up with that? You popping bottles, you getting fly, but you don't send commissary to niggas that's inside. See, we don't coincide, we don't live by the same rules. And we done got hungry, these lanes became full. Real niggas in my corner, you know that I can't lose. And I can't go to jail for a body they can't prove. Got niggas in the fence, they never coming home. Can't never see they daughter, only talking through a phone. And you know we screaming free you forever. Treat your kids like they mine. Wait your turn, real nigga. You get rich in due time. I feel like Nino when he first opened the Carter. Check me out. I feel like Tony when him and Sosa became partners. Check me Bring me out crab legs and grilled shrimp for starters. Filet me young for my main meal. I'm a mobster. Ruger rap. Top gunner, check me out. Only us, check me out. Strap her with a kilo, check me out. Put her on the bus, check me out. Stand up nigga, check me out. Always 100, check me out. You can bring the work back, check me out. If you don't want it, check me out.
How's everybody doing on this Wednesday, hump day? I'm cooling, man. I end up coming a little early today because I chose to do this before I do my workout. So I'm gonna go do my workout right after this. Hope everybody doing well today. Wherever you at, like I said, this time most people it's 3 something, maybe some people they have it's 4:16. Damn, I didn't know. Damn. But I actually had well, not gonna get off and all that, but that's why I'm a little late. I'm a little early too. But like I say, man, most people day is end. Some people day is just some people day is still going and about to end 5 or 6, I'm guessing. But we here for part 3 of why the Karmelo situation, the Karmelo Anthony situation make things work for Black people. You know, in the first episode, I dived in a lot of things. Go back and check it out. In the second one, I dived in, you know, was showcasing a lot of exhibits on why I say that, why I came up with this title. Because again, you know, when I look at these situations on this channel, when I break down situations on this channel, these things are done, finished. But what I do is I see how can it affect your life. What can you get from this situation, and how can it affect your life in a positive way, right? And there's several things that we can get, that we can gain from this, especially if you're Black. And number one, we should be teaching our children every day. There's no such thing as, okay, we told them enough. We got to be reinforcing every day emotional intelligence, which is very, very low in my community, unfortunately. But we have to be reinforcing this with our children. We also have to be showing them the things that going on in the world. And again, that's why I always speak about 2-parent households. A lot of these mothers, which is something I want to open with today in a few minutes, but I'll get to that. A lot of these mothers, man, they're overwhelmed. They really don't have time to do nothing. They got to go work all these hours, get all the hours they could get. And they don't really have that time. And to be honest, to be perfectly clear, it's really not the woman's job. The woman's job is to come from a nurturing perspective. And yeah, some things she can teach the child until he gets a certain, once a child, girl or boy, really, once they reach a certain age, I would say 10, it's really nothing else the woman can give them, but what she can do is project how she feel on certain things, especially with a young boy. At 10 years old, that's a wrap. He's a young lion at this point, and he's going to be soon become a preteen, then a teenager, and there's nothing a woman can do with him. This is why fathers are important to reinforce these type of things. Look, son, listen, son, look, son. These are the things that's going to happen to you if you don't have emotional intelligence. These are the things that can, and they have to be reinforced. Not every time something bad happens, it has to be reinforced then, using that situation as an exhibit, but it has to constantly be reinforced if daily. If it's you going to sit on their bed, letting them know, finding situations to show them, listen, if you get into a situation, you have to think, you have to be a three-dimensional thinker. No disrespect to the woman. Again, this is not her strong suit. She's a two-dimensional thinker. She only sees what's in front of her. She don't see what's around the corner. And that's a man's job. We understand that a lot of our men in my community are two-dimensional thinkers as well. And that's why they're so impulsive and overly emotional and make these bad decisions. Why is that? Because they were raised by a woman. So again, the number one thing we're going to have to do right directly after turning back to God, not just in word, but in action, is make sure we put the fathers back in the home. And as fathers, we have to stop leaving our children, because we are the ones who are going to be able to, we are the ones who have to be there to teach our sons and daughters about this, what this world is like. And again, we have to reinforce it daily, because we have too much competition. We got the internet, we got peer pressure, we got all of these people who is compete with our voice. Our voice needs to always be the loudest voice in our children's head, no matter where they are. And we got 18 years to do that. Now, after that, they're grown and they can make their own decision. But we have 18 years to reinforce daily, as much as possible, our beliefs and the things in this world that they need to understand before they get in a situation and then it's, oh my God, right? And we see, and like I said, I will get into that. I don't know if that's going to be the next part, because I don't know how long it's going to last. Because I got a lot of things to cover on it. Because I'm gonna squeeze everything I can out of the situation, for the simple fact that it's a very, 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 it's a learning. It's very, you can get a lot of learning from this situation. And that's what I'm all about. So this is a pro truth channel, it's a self-help channel. So that's what I do here. If you're a first-time person, I see all y'all coming in. I thank y'all. I ask that y'all like, subscribe, comment. Yeah. And so, you know, it's just a serious situation, man. And it's just so sad that, you know, somebody lost their life at the hands of somebody who had bad parents. As we seen, his parents are not, again, as I spoke about my last episode, part 2, about how dangerous the household he was raised in. He was raised in a household where a woman was the head while a man was there. And I also said that, excuse me, in a 2-parent household where a woman is the head, it can be more dangerous and detrimental to the child than being in a single parent household. Because when he's in a 2-parent household and he see a lot, and again, things are spiritual. So a lot of times, especially as a child, you don't understand those spiritual things and those spiritual feeling that you have, but it's something you telling you that this is not right, because spiritually it's not, that the mother is running the household, right? And so what that does is it psychosocially make you lose respect for your father. You might love your father, love him so much, appreciate him, but spiritually you don't respect him. And then again, it's so dangerous, because you grow up as a young man and think this is the way things go, which is not. That's not divine masculinity. It's not divine femininity to want to be over a man. That's the Jezebel spirit. But in the household that he came from, the woman was the leader. The man is very weak. And that might be his parents' fault. Maybe because he was raised by a woman, which I would be willing to bet. And he never chose to seek God and get his divine masculinity from God. So he just went through life like that, and it was detrimental to his son. That's why his son didn't have no type of restraint, very low emotional intelligence, to the point where he got rushed and angry to a point where he took this dude's life. It didn't have to go all that. Let's just say the dude did push you or shove you or whatever. Why didn't you fight him? You wasn't supposed to be in that area. And you have people hollering about, well, he was getting jumped and they were beating him bad and that's why he self-defense. That's a lie. Again, if this young man was being beat or anything like that, why didn't he have any marks on his face for his mugshot? Number one. Number two, we got to understand the day and time we living in. Every single person from a brand new newborn baby all the way up to a grandpa or grandma, they got smart devices. We also know that he was in Frisco, Texas. This is a big, huge area. My hometown is a small area. And track meets were always packed. Now, when I was going to school, they didn't have smartphones, but they have them now. And I'm saying all that to say, if he was getting jumped or any type of situation like that, it would be some type of footage that have been resurfaced by now. It hasn't happened. He wasn't getting jumped. That is a lie. The people who saying they seen the video or whatever, they're lying. It doesn't exist because we know in the age of information, in the age of social media, if it existed, somebody would have been this. It would have been made public on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Somebody would have been able to see it at this point. Again, it doesn't exist. He went over there, and again, I said this in my last episode. We all know what happened. The average, not all, but the average young black man, right, who is 17, is at that point, he's, again, I was a 17-year-old man at one time, 20 years ago. Damn. But anyway, yeah, so we have to understand is we living in a time now where all of the music is about glorifying violence. This music is a spiritual transfer, and all day, every day, we listening to this music in our AirPods moving around. We know Karmelo had his AirPods in. We know he was probably listening to some of that music, and here he is, it's raining. I'm going under whatever tent I want. And a white boy coming at it didn't matter, but it didn't matter at that point. It didn't matter if it was a black dude. It didn't matter because that spirit that was on Karmelo from being raised by from coming from a household where a woman is the leader, he's already overly emotional, and he's already overly emotional and impulsive, right? And as a 17-year-old black man, he's humbuggers and he got an ego and he want to prove that, yeah, I'm a man, right? So it didn't matter who came up to him, but a white boy, again, the household he being raised into, racist household, right? So a white boy come and tell me to move, man, whatever, bro. Go ahead. Don't matter of fact, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Just whatever you say, don't touch me. Dude touched him. They say light shove. He won't, and it got pretty, reckless. It got pretty it turned bad from that. And he was like, the white boy Austin was like, man, look, man, it's a track meet. I don't want to fight. I'm straight. And again, it escalated and they kept going and ended up shoving him. And this was after he told him, don't touch me, right? And he, don't touch me and see. And he already had his hand in the bag. He pulled his holster out. The bag was the holster. And the knife was the gun. And he struck. When the dude shoved him, he struck. This has been testified under oath. And these children are not going to lie. These people are not going to lie. These people understood. And if they didn't understood, they were let know before testifying. You are under oath. If you lie, this is why his defense had to tell the truth. And it was against him. If you lie, this will be a perjury case. I don't know what perjury hold in Texas, but I don't even think perjury hold probation, right? You have to do time on that perjury. I remember Lil Kim had to do time on the perjury. Perjury is not a joke. You lie under oath, hey man, you got to go do a time. I think it's in my home state. I think it's like a year. New York is like a year. Some places 5. Like it varies. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I said, we're gonna dive into that. We're gonna dive into more of that. And again, I'm explaining how this affects black community. Stuff like this affects black community. But before I get into today's episode, I want to open with this. I'm trying to see where we have come at a point now where You can't even make a post, make a comment without somebody coming in your comment section or without somebody replying to your comment that you made on a public post without disrespect. Like, where have we come as a country that people have to do that? Calling you names, and this social media stuff has got out of hand. And most people, I'm not gonna say all, but most people, the stuff you say to people in conversation, you wouldn't say to them in real life. So why are we getting so loose like that? What happened to I disagree, here's why? Or just skipping it. Like, you don't have to comment on everything. This is what I was talking about to the black community. When they speak negatively on a situation like the situation happened with Charlie Kirk and this situation, they F Austin and pissed on his grave and the Austin Bop and all these things. You don't have to say nothing. Just keep moving. It's too much going on in the world. And I'm not even counting people's personal lives. People got children. They married. They're in relationship. They got jobs. They got all kind of other stuff that they could be giving their energy to. But they getting on social media because they can't think for themselves. They're followers. They go along to get along. So they just want to say, everybody's saying something about Austin. Let me say something about Austin. Not understanding how this is affecting them as a community and people that's going to come after them, like their children. I don't know nothing about Charlie Kirk, but everybody's saying F Charlie Kirk, he racist. F Charlie Kirk, he racist. You don't even know, like, you know what I'm saying? Trump racist. Trump. When did Trump? So it's like they just go along to get along. And like I say, what it does is they don't understand that it hurts them. But I don't want to, again, but I just wanted to speak on that. Like, why can't we just have conversations as adults? I mean, I understand children, but we not in high school no more. This don't be children. This be people with gray hair sometimes. They in your comment section being disrespectful. Like, bro, I agree. This is why. But again, most time, anytime somebody goes straight to calling you names, they have a very low IQ. Right? So these are the people, and some of these people are grown. Some of these people have degrees, more degrees than a thermometer. But again, we all know that degrees does not mean wisdom. Degree does not mean IQ. Degree does not mean understand. All degree is a indoctrination for whatever field that you're in, teaching you a skill, teaching you how to do something, but it doesn't mean you're smart. And I don't know about every community, but in my community, people at the more degree to get the smarter they think they are. And they don't be. Some of them be smart, and some of them have wisdom, but it ain't because of the degree. It's because they just, but most people that have formal education, especially in this day and time, attending these liberal scholastic institutions, they're very brainwashed. They're very dumbed down, and they don't have nothing to say. So whenever your point of view, even though you got facts to back it, go against how they believe, what they're told to believe, what's the trending thing, they automatically call your name. That's a sign of very low IQ. So you don't really go back and forth with those people. But again, why do we have to do that? Again, here's a word of advice. I don't agree. Here's why. And if you can't articulate yourself enough to say that, just keep it moving, bro. Because y'all be in these comment sections disrespecting white people, disrespecting all kind of people. Y'all don't know who these people is, who they connected to. And it's just, come on, man. But I want to go past that situation. I want to go to another situation. This is gonna be the last piece I want to have speak on in opening. Before we get into this episode in full. You see the black people, the children, and this is something I begin to question. In 2018, I started becoming into knowledge. And God began to speak to me a lot of things and begin to give me the truth and the truth shall set you free. And whenever you get on your walk with Christ and you get filled with the Holy Spirit, the truth will be revealed to you. Sometimes that truth is going to be very, very uncomfortable to swallow. But again, the truth shall set you free. And the truth is divisive. The truth is very divisive because I also understood at that point that truth, when spoken to most people, not all, but most people, I would say 8.5 people, When you spoke, when you, out 8.5 out of 10, when you speak truth, they get very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. But I want to open with this. You know, it's a situation, man. But one of the things in 2018 that I began to see and this has been going on since I was a kid, and I'm 38 now. You see children, and it's like everywhere black children go, their schools, if it's a little city fair, if it's at a skate, everywhere they go is some type of confusion and or degeneracy, fighting, twerking, just complete degeneracy. And what you're starting to see now is it's happening on cruises, it's happening on airports, because these children grow into adults, right? And you know, this is to other people, other races of people that don't understand. Excuse me. Like I didn't understand when I first started to, like I said, 18, coming to the truth and see things from a different perspective. And I was wondering why nobody's saying nothing about this. What is the issue? And I began to, from experience and field reports, understand why these children are like that. You know, I was dating this woman off and on for 8 years. A street child, street person. She had came up in the street, had a lot of childhood trauma, a lot of trauma by being in the street. The streets really raised her, right? And this individual ended up reproducing at a very, very, very young age and followed up constantly. And what happened was all of her trauma she passed down. It's almost like in our community, trauma is a generational curse. It's something that's passed down, right? And so by me meeting her at the time when I first met her, all her children were like toddlers, right? I want to say the oldest was 9, I think. Yeah, I want to say the oldest was 8 or 9, right? Children, 8. I think they were like 2, 4. They was kids. Like I said, they were jits. And I was around these children for, like I say, years. Smart children. You know what I'm saying? You know, these days it seems like everybody's child is being born with autism and you know, in my time it was ADHD and you know, but I'm not going to dive in too deep into that right now. But you know, children, if you born with children who are smart, it doesn't matter. Even if they got autism, it's still a blessing. But to be born, to have children, to bring children in this world that are smart, sweet, and especially the environment they were growing into. Because you know, I speak about this in multiple of my videos about how if you bring children in this world without a plan for what environment they're going to be in, meaning school, living experience, or parent, who is this person is going to be a good mother. If you bring children in the world without those three boxes checked, you're a horrible parent. You're a horrible parent. I'm not talking about nobody who was raped or innocent. I'm talking about people who knowingly got all their health and strength and right mind and brought children in the world without checking these 3 boxes. And again, those 3 boxes are: number 1, this person that I'm about to reproduce with, is this person a good mother? Is this person a good father? And if you don't know their character, you shouldn't be allowing them to inseminate you, or you shouldn't be inseminating them if you're a man. You don't know this person good enough to make the assessment if they'll be a good mother or father. You shouldn't be having unprotected sex with them, right? That's number 1 box. And the last 2 boxes is they go into 1 box, which is environment. What type of environment do you have that checked off for these children? Is this child going to be able to be in a nice neighborhood? Is this child going to be able to go to a nice school? Because these 2 things are going to heavily affect this child's upbringing. So if these 3 boxes are not checked, you shouldn't be bringing children in the world. And if you do, you're a bad parent, because your children is yeah, we have success stories. God bless. But I'm saying most of the time, your children is going to be a product of the environment that's going to be all your fault, right? And so, uh, when you bring children in the world before you're ready with the wrong person in a wrong environment, like I said about these children were grew up in the projects. When I first met their mom, when I first met their mom, my thing was this. I told her, I say, look, um, I don't. I was at that time. I was, I was like I said, I'm still, but I'm saying that time I really was turned up, and I was like, listen, me and you could, copulate, but that's it. I don't want nothing serious. And of course, you can't tell women that. It's not fair when you telling a woman that, hey, we just gonna have sex, but I don't want nothing out of it. Because what happens is women, again, I always tell y'all, women are grown children. They mind don't work like a man's mind works. So you sleeping at their house, you're having unprotected sex with them, you're going on dates with them, you're doing everything with them that you would do with in a relationship, and then telling them we're not in a relationship. That's almost always gonna turn bad on your behalf. And I did that with this young woman, and this woman, she was a little older than me, and things went on very, 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 very toxic. But I also told her, I don't. At that point, I didn't. I said I don't do the kid thing. Like I don't want to be, I don't want nothing to do with your children. Not disrespecting them or nothing, but like I don't want to engage. I don't want to have this whole. Well, this, what I'm saying, like I don't want to be a stepfather because again, I don't want to be with you, but and I'm gonna come to your house, and I wouldn't tell the children. The children wouldn't tell me nothing, and of course, I'm gonna be nice to children because that's how I was raised. I wasn't gonna be mean to them, but I tried to stay out of their way as much as possible because this was their home when I went over there. So I would try to stay out their way much as possible. But eventually, by me dealing for a long time, I started end up getting I started dealing with them, and the children was just the sweetest, most respectful, talented, and I begin to love it. And again, this is another reason not to really go up too much of the subject. This is why right now, I'm not really, I really try to stay away from women with children. If God was to the woman that God put in my life, if she have children, I would gladly accept that assignment. But I don't really deal with women with children. Like, if a woman got children, I won't approach her. I won't, you know what I'm saying? Because, you never know how things gonna turn out. Um, Not to mention things can be very dangerous these days. These children can especially if it's little girls involved, they can press charges on men, and they can ask you for some money, you say no, and now they say it's all kind of stuff. It's dangerous to do that. But also for me, from my standpoint, is because I don't worry about stuff like that because I just don't. I ain't gonna say I fear. I know God ain't gonna let me get put in no situation like that because I'm not on that type of time. And I'm not saying that every dude was on that type of time. Maybe it was some mixed signals, and maybe the little girl might have thought something because you was being too overly nice. Because I'm overly nice to all people, and I really be overly nice to little girls because they little girls, and you sometimes you'll be a little bit more tougher with a little boy, but so it can get blurred. I'm not. I don't want to say that everybody who ever been uh um everybody who's been accused of something like that is guilty. Sometimes it just it's a lot of stuff going on. But again, I don't think that would ever happen to me. I don't think God would allow it. Matter of fact, I know God would allow that to happen to me. But I digress. What I'm saying is why I don't do it is because you can fall in love with those children. You can begin to love those children like they're your own, but they're not. And if something do happen, like for the time, it was time where me and her would get into it, and I would be taking my nephew somewhere, and I would be like, "Look, I'm gonna go get those children. I would go get them and try to go get them." And because me and her getting into it, she wouldn't let me get the children. And I remember it was time where that happened, and the children would literally be crying, and it just would, so. And there's nothing I could do because it's not my legal biological children. And so I just, like I said, I stay away from that. But again, going to these children, man, I watched them grow up, and they end up growing up into now, and then they end up growing up into teens, and it happened. The chaos, the fighting, and just some other things that I'm not gonna say, all because of her and her upbringing. She unknowingly pass that trauma down to the children. And I'm gonna let this video play in a minute. And this dude is touching. I'm talking about because he's a person who come up in an environment like. See, I didn't. I came up in a 2-parent household environment. My mother is the sweetest person, and I'm not saying it to them. I know people might say, "You go say this to your mom." My mama is the sweetest person in the world. I've never met nobody sweeter. I think she's a little bit too sweet sometimes. And I never experienced the things that these people experience and the verbal abuse that some of these children I've seen experience through other women I've dated because they're overworked, they're overwhelmed, they're not supposed to be raising children on their own. Women are not equipped to do that. Or some of them striving, doing it, absolutely. They gotta do what they gotta do. But when I'm talking about from a spiritual aspect, because even this person I'm talking about that I was dealing with, when it comes to providing, this she made sure her kids had the best of everything. I'm talking about from electronics, clothing, rooms did and done up. She checked all the boxes on provide on her own by herself without no help from the father. But when it came to the spiritual aspect, it was just, and that can be more dangerous. That can be very detrimental to a child. So a lot of these parents you see, and I spoke about that when I was speaking about on one of my lives a couple of weeks ago about the Jaden Ivey situation. You know, this young man, his mama was in the WNBA, so he didn't come up broke. But the neglect and only God knows what else went on because of her absence. You know what I'm saying? And so these children, man, and they go through such verbal abuse from these women who are overworked, um, um, overwhelmed, and they're angry just because of the way life treat them. These men left them, and now they just gotta just do too much, and it's just women can't handle pressure, and it's too much pressure on them, right? And because of that, they're very angry and they project that on the children. And they put all of them in this bowl called Section A or apartments or projects or whatever. And it's all these parents all projecting the same on the children. And so the children come together and they clash and they grow up and they kill each other. And that's why it's always confusion. And you know, people look at it from the outside, looking at other races, and they don't understand it. They don't want to be around it. As for me, some of us just get angry at first, and that's why I kind of like stopped saying that I was a black conservative. I'm just a man of God. I'm a righteous man of God. I love America. I love the Constitution. I love Donald Trump. But when you talk about the black conservative, most of these people were never a part of the culture. Most of these people were on the tail end of jokes of the culture. They was bullied by the culture. And so they don't really understand the why black people act the way they act. And of course, black people are low-hanging fruit for them to make content. And that's not what I want to be a part of. And also, I do understand some of them from the aspect of whenever you try to correct black people and you're not and you're black, they automatically come and tell you you're a coon, you're speaking for the white man. But this is the funny thing about that. That's like them saying the white man loved them then. Because anytime you speak about black on black crime, anytime you speak about abortion, anytime you speak about anything that's really affecting the black community, they say you using white people talking point. So in other words, you saying that white people care about y'all because they telling y'all the thing that's really affecting y'all and y'all need to stop. But we saying and you saying that white person, that means white people care about y'all. They telling y'all about care. Because if somebody don't want you to change something, they're not gonna say about it. But again, they won't say that about these rappers who glorify violence, that disrespect our women. They won't say that about them. They won't call them coons and out their name. They'll jam their music and glorify them and pass out when they see them. But the people like me who speak against all the degeneracy in the community, they call us names and say we bootlicking the white man. And like I said again, if that's what we doing, that tell you that the white man care about y'all. He trying to help you course correct. If we using talking point from the white man, telling you to course correct, telling you to change so you can be better, so you can be greater, then guess what? You should be worshiping the white man. You should be saying, hey, okay, that's white person talking point. Well, if we listen to it, it'll work. All of the stuff that's going on in Black America, how we hurt each other, hate on each other, destroy each other, and do all the stuff that we do to each other, if we would stop and cease, matter of fact, a lot of things would change. Not so much just in our community, outside our community. Because again, it's about to get bad. And so I wanted to open with that because I seen this video from this brother, man, and I say, man, I gotta play this video and I gotta add my commentary because what he's saying is so true. And this is the why. For everybody who don't understand, this is the why when you see the chaos in Black America. You know, I seen a situation the other day in my hometown where they had these two girls who had an altercation. And, you know, I don't know these individuals, but they had an altercation outside of a club. They had a fight. The girl ended up falling, and another girl ended up coming while she falling and helps the other girl. And one of them punching and the other one stumping. And you look at these people and you say to yourself, and again, it's going back to what I'm saying. You look at these situations and say, man, these people are all at a club. We supposed to be going to a club, get drunk, get high, whatever we supposed to be doing, having fun, enjoying ourselves. And this turns into a possible murder charge. This turns into a possible scene. And see, people don't understand how fast stuff can happen. Right? People seem not to understand, even though as Black people that come up in the hood, we see every day all across the world how fast stuff can happen. Everywhere you go is always some fight and stuff going on. But again, these are people who have unhealed childhood trauma. And the devil is exploiting that with them. And Lord, why did they come out with social media? Like I tell people all the time, social media was the last nail in the coffin for the Black community. Everything is about social media. Everything. And some people can't handle embarrassment, bro. But I'm gonna say this here. So in the video that I seen, again, it's something that derived from social media. Unless they know each other, I really don't know all the facts. I'm just going off the video. And the girl is outside by her vehicle. She has a bottle. She's drinking. And another girl walks up on her and she tells the girl, I'm not fighting. Now, like I say, I don't know where everything happened. Maybe it was something that was said or done. And it ain't no such thing as you not fighting. It's on site. I don't know. She had a bottle in her hand. Let's just say she took that bottle. But see, that's what I would did. If I'm in a situation where, well, I don't want to speak on that because I'm not in that lifestyle no more. So I don't even want to speak about the past 20 years ago and how I would have been living. That's irrelevant. That's dead. I'm a new creature in Christ. But anyway, let's just say when she walks up on that girl, and the girl told her, I'm not fighting tonight. Because this goes back into the Karmelo Anthony situation. You walk into this girl's face, she busts you in the head with a bottle. Boom. Bust all your face open. Take your eye out. Or hit you so hard in the head with that bottle that some type of thing rupture in your brain and kill you. Right there tonight. Number one, she wasn't going to jail. She probably would have got arrested, but she was going to beat that case because videos show that you approached her and she said, I don't want to fight. It wasn't no argument. Again, I don't know where everything started from. Right? It was social media, something with a dude, something with money. I don't know. I can't give you the beginning. All I can tell you is what I seen, right? And so let's just say that would have happened. On surveillance, everybody see that that the girl said, I'm not fighting, and that you still approached her while she had a weapon in her hand. She hit whatever happened, she was gonna get found not guilty. And if you died, your people was gonna have to find a way to bury, because we know most Black people do not have life insurance. I don't know this person. Maybe I could be wrong. But again, here it is, because we also know what I've seen a lot of time over the years is everybody balling on social media, everybody. But when they die or someone close to them died, they asking for a GoFundMe. Everybody balling, shot calling, big balling, shot calling. But when they go to jail, everybody got public defenders, right? So, but again, I digress on that. So, but let's say this here. Let's say this here. Y'all got in a fight like y'all got in a fight. The girl ended up falling down. The other individual come stumping her. Let's say that girl would have hit her head on something and died. I don't know, but I'm almost positive both of y'all have children because all of y'all got children today. All of these black women have children. So let's say that would have happened and she'd have died, right? And now you about to see who all them people who were saying, whip her, whip her, whip her. Guess what? They not gonna no, they're gonna be somewhere with their family laughing at you while you in jail. They're gonna be somewhere with their family laughing at you. Man, she done killed that girl. They about to do her bad. Ooh, boy, the system about to eat her alive. They gonna be talking about you like a dog. And guess where you gonna be at? Because we know what women do when they get in a situation where they've been warned or they knew what they were doing wrong. Doesn't matter. Women, again, I always tell people, grown children, they don't take accountability. Accountability is something that women don't even know what it means. Don't know how to spell it. They don't know nothing about it. So now you'd have been somewhere, and I'm talking about the person who was stumping the girl and the person who was punching her. Because if that girl would have died, both of y'all were going to jail. And you know what y'all have been in jail doing? Crying. Y'all have been in jail crying. And I know y'all ain't really got no motion like that, nothing going on. Because if you really was balling or had some type of real situation going on, you wouldn't be out here doing that. Because people that really got shit to lose, they shy away from stuff like that unless it has to happen. I'm talking about you touched my mama, you touched my kid, you stole some money from me. People that's really doing stuff and really at peace, they not in situations like that because they got too much to lose. So it ain't like y'all got no really shit going on. So y'all gonna be in jail with a public defender. No money on y'all book. Y'all gonna get a little money on y'all book from the people that so-called support y'all for a little while. But within a year, you's gonna be dead to people. I'm telling you because I know. Now, if you got a good mama and a good daddy, they lose a stick with you. But after that, everybody that was them people gonna be living their life, rightfully so. Right? Rightfully so. And guess what? Whatever name you trying to get or whatever gang, whatever you own, it was going to be null and void except in prison. Now, you can be a gangster in prison. Don't get into it. That's where the gangster's at. They dead on in prison. You can be a gangster in that big yard, and you're going to have to deal with that how you deal with that in the penal system. Right? You ain't got nothing to lose once you're in there. What, they going to send me to the cell block? What, I'm going to lose some privilege? I'm already in jail. You feel me? And nobody telling you this. And so, let's say this. Let's say everything happened that night. Old girl, somebody who can't accept being embarrassed and and not only being embarrassed, whatever I always tell people, bro. And if y'all go look at one of my prison stories of a story I told, something that happened to me in prison. Once somebody jump you, it's no more rules now. We could fight. You could beat me up. I'll take my L or fight you again or whatever. But once you jump me, I don't care if you listen. I don't care what the specs is of the jump. Listen, once I'm jumped, all rules, no more rules. So let's say old girl feel like, oh, you know what, man, that's a wrap. I tried to fight. I told her I didn't want to fight. Number one, right? Number two, she ended up fighting me anyway. So we had to fight, whatever. I ain't tripping. I lost. I got all swole up. The girl ended up all swole up, right? Both her eyes just beat up bad. You feel me? I can't take the embarrassment. Everybody woo. I have very low self-value of myself, which most of these women do, whether they get on social media and say otherwise, their actions prove otherwise. They have very, very such low value of themselves, which is something that was passed again. It's something that's passed down. It's a childhood trauma that has never been fixed, which only can be fixed by God, not the drugs, not the drunk, not the therapist. Only person can fix you is the person who created you. All of this other stuff is band-aids. Right? So, bam. Let's say she say, you know what? Y'all got that. Y'all jumped me. Y'all swole my eye. Y'all embarrassed me. Whoop. I got y'all. Right? Find out where you live. Wait outside your house one day. You come out with your baby, your niece, your nephew, whatever, somebody else, and shoot it up. Blah 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 blah. Everybody gonna say, now see, that wouldn't be a self-defense. That would be a premeditated, because this day, even though you'll be able to prove that she put her hand on you and all that there, you waited days after. This would be premeditated murder, and you went in front of this girl's house or caught her in the street or wait to the club this weekend and just go shoot her and spray her, shoot her, stab her, whatever. Now what? Now you going to jail. And again, same thing I said for the other person, the aggressor. You going to jail, and guess what? It ain't gonna be that. You might get a good year out your so-called friends and your boyfriend or whatever. And guess what? You got children. Now your children about to be a burden on somebody else, because anybody raising your children outside of you is a burden on them, because they didn't bring the child here, whether they love your child or not. If you got a good mom and daddy, they were gonna ride with you. But again, in prison, I got a homegirl right now. I'm telling you, I'm not talking, but I got a homegirl right now. Gangster, want to be a bully, all this here gangster. And situation happened one night, and I don't know what happened. I don't care what happened. Not my business. And it was her in a car with some other people, and somebody ended up dying. And everybody said it was her. And right now, as I'm making this video, she's in jail. Been in jail for a while now. And if God don't have mercy on her, because again, we under Donald Trump, who is a law and order president. If you get any aggravated charge under him, you getting cooked, my nigga, or my female. You getting cooked. This is why murder and homicide are at an all-time low right now, because this man have executed law and order on this country, and he has made this country safer. Not safe, but safer. And we ought to thank him for that, because there's a whole bunch of mothers who ain't have to bury their son all over because of him. Memphis has never been safer. Washington, D.C. and Chicago is three places that has never been safer as they are right now under this president. Right? So if you go into aggravated charge while he in office, again, not to mention some of the things I spoke about in my last video, and I will retouch in this video, of the judges and how they bamming niggas, the white judges. Because again, they're playing get back. But again, it's so many things that come out of these situations when these children are grown up in these toxic households, and they grow up to be toxic adults, and they so angry, and they always fighting and attacking somebody. And these things just never stop until they get real help from the Most High. And that's how I wanted to open with this. So I want to play the video that I'm talking about to give a description of what I'm talking about. Why did I do that? Damn. And after that, we're going to get into part 3 of this Mr. Karmelo Anthony situation and how it affects Black people. But without further ado, let me play this first video that I was telling you guys about.
Some of us wasn't raised by our mothers. We survived them. I remember living in the same house as my mother, feeling like I was in her way. You ever grew up around somebody who was angry all the time? Angry when the alcohol ran out, angry when there was no weed, angry when life wasn't going their way. But the crazy part was, on the weekends, everything changed. She was getting ready to go to the club with her homegirls, laughing, putting on makeup. She was in a good mood then, or when she had a man that she liked. Then that went bad. Then that anger came right back to the house. So growing up in a house like that, you learn something real quick. Stay out of her way. Because if you crossed over when she was in the wrong mood, life gonna get hard for you. Sometimes you couldn't eat. Not because there wasn't no food in the house, but because she'd say, don't touch nothing in my refrigerator. Not our refrigerator, her refrigerator. So if you made some type of mistake like kids don't do, oh, you getting cut off. You're gonna have to stay in your room or go outside and figure out another way to eat. So you learn how to survive. You learn how to move quiet in your own home, because you never knew which version of your mama you was walking into. The angry one, the drunk one, the one crying over a man, or the one looking for somebody to blame for a life. And people do not understand what that does to a child. Growing up in a house where the authority figure rules with an iron fist, you're not taught lessons. You are criticized, you are cussed out, embarrassed, told you ain't gonna be nothing. Sometimes she'll go through your stuff looking for something to accuse you of. Sometimes she'll wake the whole house up. Yet sometimes she even start arguments just to dump her frustration out on somebody that's smaller than her. When opportunities came around for me as a kid that could have helped me get up out the environment that we was in, could have been boxing or school activities, just anything positive, she gonna shut that down. Somebody has power over your life, they can control your future too. And as a kid, you don't understand that. You just feel like you don't belong in your own home, like you're a burden or something. Like the person who brought you into this world don't even like you. So when my mother left me home at 17, yeah, it was hard. They forced me to figure life out. And I did. It toughened me up. But it also made me decide that I was going to live a completely different life, because I know what it feels like to grow up in a house where you weren't nurtured, you weren't protected, you weren't supported. So when people say, but that's still your mother, they don't understand something. Some of us didn't grow up with mothers. We survived them. If you know what I mean, I know I'm not the only one.
It's something he said. I gotta revisit.
We survived.
I got to revisit. Whoa.
Go through your stuff looking for something to accuse you of. Sometimes she'll wake the whole house up. Yet sometimes she even start arguments just to dump her frustration out on somebody that's smaller than her. When opportunities came around for me as a kid that could have helped me get up out the environment that we was in, could have been boxing or school activities, just anything positive, she gonna shut that down. Somebody has power over your life, they can control your future too.
Somebody has, man, that was powerful. Ooh. He said, when somebody has power over your life, they can control your future too. Man, ain't that powerful, bro? And again, this is what some of these parents are doing, these mothers. And again, you know, they did clinical studies. They did a clinical study that said that verbal abuse is almost on par with sexual abuse. Do you understand that? This was a clinical study. Now, I'm not the super book guy and the education guy when it comes to believing all that, but I think that makes sense. Because I've been with women before, and I never was a man that hit women, but it was a time in my life where I would verbally assault them, and that seemed to be worse than physical assault. See, physical assault is just a wound and it heals. Verbal abuse sometimes never heals. It's years and years, and people still remember people remember how you made them feel, bro. You can, especially a woman. You know what I'm saying? Especially a woman. They remember how you made. They'll forget the things you've done. They'll forget everything, but they'll remember how you made them feel, even if that's in a positive way. Right? It's been times in my life where I was down on my luck, and it is some women that I've treated, and they came back to rock with me on certain type of levels and be beneficial to me in that time of need when I needed them for something, not no financial, but I don't want to get, y'all know where I'm coming from, but it was like, look, man, I'm blessing you on GP when you was, you know what I'm saying? And even still, because one thing about me, I understand how life works, especially somebody like me who did prison time and stuff. Life up and down, but you might be at the high rise one day, and the next day you on somebody's couch. But I've been in all those situations. You might be in a foreign car today, or tomorrow you catching however. But my thing is, I'm like Paul. I've had it all, and I've had nothing. I've been in prison where all I had was 2 locker boxes. So for me, life, if you know me personally, you know I'm not lying. But if somebody else to meet me, like, I'm always the same person. You'll never get around me and be like, oh, he doing bad right now. He doing so. I'm always gonna be, man. Yes, you know what I'm saying? And you know, that's just how it is. But I'm saying, bro, verbal abuse can be on par with physical abuse, dog. And people don't forget that. People don't forget how you made them feel, and especially if it's a parent. But what happens is the parent, that's my mom. You know what I'm saying? So that's my daddy. And so we project it on other people. And again, these are children that it starts. That's why these children, everywhere they go, is fight. And then these people grow into adults And that's why you see them at the club and on the cruises and airport. It never stops until somebody dies or until they get real help from the Most High. But I think I'm gonna go ahead on and read some of these comments because there's a whole bunch of them. So I'm gonna read some of these comments, then we're gonna get into part 4. I don't know. There's a lot of comments, man. There are 5 pillars to self-defense in Texas. You must meet all 5 or you're guilty of murder. Mello met none. Absolutely. You're correct, Mr. User BS 2ZK1CY4K. Mr. Silver Spark 86. Nigga, N-word fatigue is real. Nice to see a reasonable black person. Appreciate you. I'm righteous, man. God bless the righteous. There are a few of us out here. Oh, that's somebody saying, or some other must be another brother saying, yeah. But black people waking up. Black people waking up because they understand, like, man, Karmelo Anthony should have gotten life in prison. I disagree. But if I was his father, I would agree. Who cares about the age he killed someone? Okay, well, hey. I say, when you say who cares about the age, I don't know if it seems to Angel Reed, so I'm guessing you're a female, because I know they got some dudes in the Latino community named Angel. I don't know if you're a man or woman, but I'll say this. 17 years old, it's things I did that I wouldn't dare do now. Sometimes I sit back and say, damn, I can't believe I did that. So you're not the same person as you're 2 different people at 17 as you grow up. Hopefully, if you're the same person now at 27, 37, 47 that you was at 17, you're mentally challenged. So I think he should have got less time. I think he should have got manslaughter, gave him 10 years, but that's not what happened. But let's move to the next comment. A user again. He let his ego get to him instead of moving from a place he didn't belong. If you're somewhere you're not supposed to be, you're in no position to question authority. Absolutely correct. And it was testified under oath by Austin's black coach that he put Austin in charge. So you're 100% correct. And Karmelo gets out in 35 years. Austin Metcalf never coming back. He's gone. You're right, Angel. Very sad. If Karmelo's parents want to see him, they can go see him in prison. Austin parents have to go to the grave. Very, very unfortunate. Very sad. Very tragic. Alien disclosure. Katie Craig let Damon see his baby. What? Grandy's garden. God doesn't get a handicap just because he's black. Shouldn't. They started it with Trayvon Martin. They started with Nat Turner, chopped him into pieces and spread him around. They never even made tincture out of him. I don't know where you're coming from that, Mr. PH or A or P. You can be very book smart and have very low IQ and vice versa. Absolutely, I agree. Facts are only divisive if you're dumb. Absolutely. A lot of these situations that have been going on are IQ tests, and most people have a very low IQ. Josh Gannon, Happy Daddy said that. Now Josh Gannon replied, dumb or conniving. Both in some cases. Morris, Kings, and Queens. Moors are back. Morris, Kings, and Queens. What's the truth? Hey, bro, greeting from Miami. Thoughts on Jeff Halfley. Can you expound? I don't know who that is. Jeff Halfley. If you're talking about Jeff Metcalf, his father, but I don't know. I want to let you expound. Cap for life 135. That's what you said. And shout out to you from Miami. We in Florida, baby. Florida. Number best state in the world. I never been to Miami. Or the lowest I've ever been is Orlando. I haven't been to Miami. I will soon. Bennett David 904. Not everything is about race. It's about character. Absolutely, sir. Thanks for the comment. You also said, I hope the best for you and yours. I hope the best for you and yours as well. God bless you and everybody who's leaving comment and viewing. I feel sorry for Karmelo Anthony. I do too, for the fact that he came up with horrible parents. Thank you, left side, 414510 for your comment. James, H3N1U, Raiders Nation. We don't rock with the Raiders, but I love Fernando Hernandez. I think he's gonna be great, but I don't rock with the Raiders. You see my team in the back, G-Man, the real G-Man, not the Giant, the Green Bay Packer man. Watermelon feelings. That was a good one. I'm gonna use that. Greatest team right behind you. Already no flies on. You know what it is. Crossfire X69 with the watermelon feelings. Wilbert Howard, white man and people fatigue is real also. I have to disagree. They not the partakers in destroying this country. Man, there's a lot of comments, man. I gotta get into the show. But I'm gonna try to read every comment and I'll go back afterwards. Y'all in the comments holding conversation y'allself. Damn, there's a lot of comments, man. I appreciate y'all love, man. I appreciate the love, man, with all these comments. But it's a lot. I almost got lost in the sizzle. Mr. Wilbert Howard said, white man and people fatigue is for real. I disagree. John Medina, 895, murder is murder. If your position is serving is considered bullying under self-defense, then you're also saying that all those school shooters are innocent. Well, I wouldn't say that, but you're right partially. Not with a school shooter situation, but it's not a right that you can't kill somebody because they shove you, especially when you're in their space. Carmelo wasn't shoved, he was attacked. You have no proof of that, Wilbur Howard, because it didn't happen. It wasn't testified under oath, and it's not happening. It didn't happen. It's not true. If it was true, we would have seen some type of video footage of that happening, and it hasn't came up yet, and it won't come up because it's not real. Please give me some likes and subscribes. We about to get into the show. Carmelo wasn't sure he was attacked. Prove it. He can't, Mr. John Medina, because Carmelo said he did. Not exactly something someone fighting for their life said. Also, Carmelo didn't testify on the stand that, and the people that testified on his defense didn't agree with that. So, again, Mr. John Medina, you're 1,000% correct. He have no proof, and he can't prove it just like nobody else can. That's the mentality that landed you in prison. I don't know who you're talking to. If you're talking to me, maybe you're right, but that's 20 years ago. I'm a way different person. The twins were known bullies. Again, allegedly the Hooters wasn't testified in trial. None of this stuff came out in trial. This is things that the black degenerates who are supporting Carmelo only because he killed a white boy is saying. It's not true, Mr. Wilbur Howard. Stay with me. I like Wilbur Howard. I want you to stay with the show. Go keep up with me. Watch these episodes. And I guarantee you, when it's all said and done, you'll change your stand. Why did 6 people testify against Melo then? It's not adding up. The president is a criminal. Absolutely not. Trump is not a criminal. I agree. Best president we ever had, I think ever will. Get real quiet when the facts are presented, Will. Those twins grew up in a toxic, broken household. I don't know if it was toxic, but they did grow up in a broken household. They had single parent, but again, that had nothing to do with him losing his life. Yes, he's a criminal. That was never charged with crime until he announced his candidacy for 24 elections. Then he gets hit with 94 charges in 4 different jurisdictions. That's you. When you say that, Matthew Gallagher, you speaking common sense, which is a lost thing today. Most people don't have that. If Trump was a criminal, he'd have been in jail. Why did he all of a sudden become a criminal when he become president? It seemed pretty eerie to me, but that's only the people with an IQ and a brain. Most people have no brain. They have skulls filled with blood. Steven Shearer, dude said the twins were down bullies. Where's the proof? Again, there is none. Known bullies, no proof, said them. They were not bullies. Those twins also beat up their father. Again, stuff that nobody have not proven yet. Proof was prove, Will. Show the proof. Put a link. Tell us where to find it. I'm with them. I want to see the link and the proof. And again, if he beat up his father, if he was a bully, again, he shouldn't have been killed. He didn't have a weapon. Carmelo brought a knife to a fist fight. Matthew Gallagher, nobody cared about Melo until he became a killer. Absolutely. Now he's your little brother. Now he's your kin. Now he's you. Right on. Now the rage and confrontal, hateful mentality that you embrace. Unfortunately. The way those Metcalf boys were raided and violent house, no wonder they were bullies. Yeah, I think Will Howard trolling now because he's just not making no sense. No, because this is BS. Fathers had to take some accountability too. Just because you leave the woman You should not leave the kids, your kid. Absolutely right, Mary by the pool. Absolutely right. I agree with you 1000%. Pifsky, does anyone need the definition of self-defense? Because you're too defense to understand, too dense to understand. I'm sorry. Can I help with that? Bro, you can't kill someone for punching you. Exactly, Pifsky. Thank you. John Medina says, will you know damn well domesticate doesn't determine guilt in a murder. Even if it's found out be a case of bullying, does not excuse murder. Absolutely, Mr. John Medina. Your morals are the same, though. I don't know who you're talking to. Okay, heck. John Medina, they offered the family 10. They rejected it and went to trial. Wow, I didn't know that. That was dumb. When you fought, does dribble come out? Shouldn't have attacked Melo. He's sticking. Will's sticking on that. Karmelo shouldn't have killed Austin, you mean? Right? I bet that's what he's saying right now. Pifsky said that's irrelevant. Still doesn't justify killing someone. Austin's brother threatened to beat up the cheerleaders. Those boys were violent bullies, Wilbur Howard said. He just coming up with stuff. Not a cheerleader. God damn, my boy. Pifsky says, here's part of the definition, and like dude you said, to meet all 4 or 5 of them. The force you use must match severity of the threat. For instance, using lethal force to stop a minor unarmed shove them will likely be considered. Wilbur a liar. I think he trolling. He a troller or a liar, one of the two. Pifsky, the star 280 said that. The star, DA star. Sorry, not sorry, but there's no gray area with this. And if a bully held weight, all bullies would be dead. Makes no sense. Hold no water. Absolutely. Appreciate you, bro. No cap. Shout out to you, Pipsky, man. God bless all y'all, man. Let's get into the show, man. Let's get into the show, man. We're going to play this first exhibit. And as you guys know, if you've been here, of course, I'm going to chime in.
So we pretty much know. So we pretty much know all of the details involving the case of Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. And through all of the witness testimony, facts brought up in the court, and just general information about this case, there is undeniable proof that Karmelo Anthony should be found not guilty. In court, they revealed that Austin didn't just push him to the ground. He basically like jacked him up and was on some, you know, he's a big dude. Karmelo is 5'8", barely probably 5'8", 130 pounds, a smaller frame kid. He was a kid. Austin and Hunter, they are bigger white dudes, right? 200 pounds, 6 foot. Not to mention, weeks prior, did y'all know that Austin ended up putting his own father in the hospital? He ended up beating up his dad and putting him in the goddamn hospital. So if he did that to his pops as one individual,
you know what they're going to leave out? They're going to leave out the fact that he talking about what Austin did that we have no proof of. But we do have proof that Karmelo was previously suspended from school for bringing a knife. They're going to keep that on wrap, though. Let's continue.
Imagine what both of them could have did together to little Karmelo. And ultimately, I'm going to say this. This whole situation was, one, keep your hands to yourself. It could have been prevented. And also, two, this was an ego thing. Because if Austin would have just said, okay, you got it. I don't want you here. I'm just going to leave. Or he could have even just went and got an adult being a Karen. That would have been better in this situation. But yeah, y'all, this case isn't really going too well, man. In my opinion, the defense for Karmelo is doing a horrible job. Russell. Isn't really going too well, man. In my opinion, the defense for Karmelo is doing a horrible job. Meanwhile,
I mean, I'm questioning the jury. I asked them, how did you reach your verdict? How did you reach it so quickly? What happened? It was a 4-inch knife. He used it one time. He was pushed. I'm not saying that it was right, but what are you doing? How did you get this verdict? I'd want to know. My whole identity as a defense attorney would be in question, right? I'm questioning my identity right now, and I had nothing to do with this case. How could you come back like that? I would be enraged. I'm enraged right now. This is very upsetting. And then on top to compound it, this dumb judge didn't allow cameras in the courtroom. What was your wisdom? What were you thinking? How did you put on a robe? Are you that much of an imbecile that you won't let cameras in the courtroom in a case like this? This is not a rape case. This is something different. This is something that's clearly the whole community is enraged. And you knew that before the trial started. So, I mean, this is very upsetting.
You see the
This process did is shown that Black lives do not matter in Collin County. It showed us that time and time in American history, it has shown it put emotions over the law. After Trayvon Martin and so many countless names, it has shown us that Black life is not safe in Collin County. It showed us that they did not listen to the law. It showed clearly that a judge interfered in this process. It showed very clearly that a Black boy was allowed, not one Black soul on a jury. An all white jury convicted him in 2 to 3 hours.
What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do at this point? What? I'm lost for it. I don't know what to do. I got 5 boys. I don't know what. I ain't got nothing to tell them no more. You can't walk away no more.
All right, guys. So we finally have a verdict in the case against Karmelo Anthony, murdering Austin Metcalf, and lo and behold, surprise, surprise, Karmelo Anthony has been found guilty of murder. Now, initially going into this trial, I said that I thought that it was likely that they were going to get him on manslaughter, right? Because I thought that the defense was actually going to present some type of evidence or proof to make the case a little bit more gray, right? However, that didn't happen, and I very quickly changed my opinion once we actually started covering the trial to that they're going to get him on murder, right? Because the defense didn't have a defense, because Karmelo Anthony did not act in self-defense. And that was very clear to anybody who actually cared about the real facts, who actually understood this story, who's been following this, who weren't listening to pedophiles on the internet. We all kind of knew that this is where it was headed, right? So this verdict was kind of anticlimactic for me, right? In the sense that we already kind of knew this was coming. So without further ado, I want to just go ahead and play this news clip so people can get an understanding of the latest on this situation. And then I'm just going to give my general thoughts on this because obviously the tears are flowing from these Black activists. And I've talked about this a lot, right? I'm just happy that Austin Metcalf's family is going to get the justice that they're entitled to, okay? The justice was served, and Karmelo has been convicted of murder. They tried to get the jury to go for manslaughter, but again, the defense's case was so bad, it was so weak that murder was always going to be the conviction, to be honest with you. And I think that was apparent at the beginning of this when it all started. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
3 Black female juror educators who were excluded by the prosecution. They exercised their exemptions. They got the 3 of them off. That is almost certainly going to be an avenue for appeal. The judge's justification for that was that it had nothing to do with race, and that's what the prosecution contended, but it had to do with the fact that they were educators. And as teachers, the feeling was that they were going to be inclined in a way that cut towards the defense. Prosecution made that case compellingly enough so that the judge went to it. That's where the appeal is going to go. But I have to tell you...
So I just want to say something real quick about the Black juror thing, right? Again, we live in a country where apparently Black people are entitled to have other Black people on the jury, right? They're entitled to race-based juries, right? This is what we're getting into, okay? But the reality is that let's actually be real. That race kind of does matter, and it doesn't matter in the way that the woke revolutionaries or the pro-Blacks think that it matters. It actually matters in the opposite way because it's not really the average white juror that you have to worry about when it comes to being biased, okay? Is actually the average Black juror, right? The average Black person that showed up clearly showed that, hey, they can't analyze his case without being biased, right? Because Karmelo's Black. Oh, we can't throw that baby in prison, right? Like, Yeah, that's why they weren't allowed on the jury, right? It says more about black people than it does about whites, to be honest with you. So with that being said, let's continue.
Talk to moms and dads. They're fearful that their children are being indoctrinated in the public school system.
About whites, to be honest with you. So with that being said, let's continue.
Judges are human beings as well, and they see the facts of a case, they see the outcome of a case, the repercussions from a case. And I have to say, I would be surprised if this verdict is overturned and we have to go through this again. I think the defense chose their fate here. They went all the way with this, and they got the verdict that, in my estimation, is the just one.
So, Donna, in terms of the sentencing process here, what do we expect? Is the sentencing, the number of years up to this jury? Does the judge weigh in? This does vary from state to state and district to district.
It does vary, Martha, and obviously,
look at the tears flowing, right? Look at the tears flowing. I'm trying to figure out what these people cried about. If you actually paid attention to the facts, if you actually understood the real story and what actually happened and didn't believe the nonsense that, again, was being spread by pedophiles on the internet, you would have known this was coming. I'm going to get more into this, right? Because I had a whole lot to say about the black folks who stood behind a murderer, okay? But I want to just finish this news clip first before I really get into what I got to say.
The fact that the jury is going to be weighing in on sentencing leads me to believe that they're going to be able to have some type of say, because otherwise the only focus or purpose they would have would be as if this were a death penalty case, which it is not. So given the fact that the jury is around for the sentencing phase leads me to believe that they will have a say. What I do think is really interesting here, and I think that this is the reason the case played out the way it did. The defense attorney knew that this jury was going to be involved in the sentencing phase. The judge was listening to all the testimony here. And I think this is the reason some of these facts came in. The things that we were talking about earlier, how he reacted after the fact. I think some of that is trying to be mitigating. I don't think that the defense truly believed that there was ever a true self-defense claim here, and that this is what they had to try on behalf of the client.
Yeah, I mean, they tried a lot, right? They even tried to say that Austin Metcalf stabbed himself, right? That it was his own fault. Yeah, I mean, they got very desperate. And apparently the jury gasped, right, when the defense tried that. When they tried to say that Austin Metcalf caused his own death. Yeah, I mean, you kind of knew it was over just by reading about what was happening in the trial, just reading, which is something that apparently these black people don't do, right? They don't read, which honestly is not surprising, to be honest with you. Because again, this is an IQ test. Let's be real. It's an IQ test. And black people, or the ones that are defending Karmelo Anthony, are showing that they're not smart people, okay, at all, okay? They're demonstrating why black people are at the bottom. Again, I'm going to really get into this, but I'm just saying that ultimately, if you follow the case and the actual facts and what was happening in the courtroom, nobody should be surprised. The defense was desperate. Every defense they had basically fell apart. The prosecution was damn near flawless. I mean, this was an easy W for the prosecution. Easy W, considering all the evidence.
But given the facts and circumstances here, I think putting this forth in the way to show this level of remorse, to show that he was upset and crying after the fact, I think that was part of the sentencing phase of this case. I also think the fact that Karmelo Anthony himself did not testify was very interesting, given the defense in this case. And that's not something that we've talked about today. And I think that that's a very, very significant portion of the jury making this decision on murder. I think had he testified, manslaughter may have played into it a little bit more, because he would have been able to say, I felt in fear. I felt like they were coming at me. It was a split decision. And looking back at the video, I don't see what maybe I thought was happening at the time. And I think maybe those things may have played into a less serious conviction here. But the fact that he didn't testify, I don't think the jurors had any other evidence that they could hang their hat on. And we'll see if in the sentencing phase we hear more about that. But I really do think that the defense played into the fact that if he was convicted, these were certain pieces of information they needed to put out in front of this jury. So maybe the sentencing would not be, as significant as it could be.
it is a damn shame that these grifters, like this guy right here, Dominique Alexander, who's a criminal, by the way, right? They've been paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to defend a murderer, somebody they knew was a murderer. They knew it and got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. Amazing. I mean, these people, just look at them. Look at them. I mean, they look like scammers. Eyes yellow, like alcoholic, right? You know, it's a shame that Black people fall for this stuff. It really is. Again, I'm gonna get into it, but I just want to finish.
Think that the defense played into the fact that if he was convicted, these were certain pieces of information they needed to put out in front of this jury. So maybe the sentencing would not be, as significant as it could be.
I don't know if we can hear this person who's speaking, or if we know if this is one of the attorneys. If anybody, okay, this is not one of the attorneys. It's someone speaking outside the courthouse. Paul, let's talk a little bit about what Donna touched on here. Karmelo Anthony did not testify in his own defense. Do you think his attorneys now second guess that decision?
Well, in light of the fact that he's guilty of the highest charge, how could you not? And all I can say is if the cynical ploy here was to say, leave him off the stand, take the guilty verdict, and let's hope we get some kind of a minor victory at sentencing from this jury, I think it was a mistake. The way this went, and in light of the tenor of the defense witnesses, who, as I said earlier, some of whom were reportedly Black. There's no cameras in the courtroom, but that said, reportedly Black testimony from Black witnesses, and testimony on the defense side, wherein at least one of them started crying. It broke for the prosecution. So at that point, if you're sitting where the defense is and you're about to continue with your case, you probably have to go back and say, hey, look, we got a Hail Mary here, and that is we put you on the stand to play for a sympathetic jury sentence after a top charge conviction feels to me like the kind of 1 in a million shot you never want to put your client in the position of. Feels to me like it would have at that point, the way things were going, to Donna's point, say, you know what, let's try to elicit some sympathy. Karmelo, get up there and do your best. The only thing I can think of is that they felt like, for some reason, there are some facts that we have not heard that the prosecution may have been able to draw out of Karmelo that they felt would have even further hurt their case. Things like why he went to it.
Again, him not getting on the stand could have been a good thing and a bad thing. Here's why. They found that he deserved 35 years just with the evidence that they had. But if Karmelo would have got on that stand, these prosecutors, this is what they do. They eat. And one thing about a prosecutor, I don't know if y'all know this. I know this because I have some of them as friends. These people eat, sleep, and drink this stuff, man. And especially when it's a high-profile case, because just like the lawyer trying to get a win for their defense, they trying to get a win for the state. And these people families suffer because these people be all in for this. And again, especially when it's something like this, because it's a high-profile case and it could potentially affect them moving forward, because most prosecutors end up being lawyers and or judges. And so they put everything in this. And that's what and so if he would have got on that stand, a 17-year-old scared little boy, man, they was going to rip him to pieces. And like I say, with just the evidence that they already had, they found him that he deserved 35 years. If he'd have got up there and the way they'd have destroyed him, it could have been worse. So we'll never know, but no one knows if it'll hurt him or help him. But I mean, yeah, let's continue.
Why he had the knife. There may be things that come out that we didn't get in the and this happens, that we didn't get for various evidentiary reasons in the four corners of the case that we're going to hear subsequent. Because one of the things you notice, you didn't get a lot of is character stuff here. You didn't get even about Metcalf. Like one of the things I was kind of waiting for when the defense came forward was I was starting to wonder, do they have some sort of thing up their sleeve that's going to paint the victim, however unsavory that is, and I think we'd agree it is because the kid is dead, but do they have something where they're going to essentially paint the victim as somebody who almost deserved it. A bad kid who's had what was coming to him. And of course, all the reporting cuts against that. And ultimately, that's not what happened. But I'm wondering if we're going to get some kind of character stuff that's going to come out that for whatever reason, they decided let's not roll those dice. Because the way this thing went, and you can't argue with the way it concluded, you're sitting where the defense is. I think I might have taken the shot. Karmelo, get up there. Do your best to be sympathetic. Maybe we get the manslaughter. And as a relatively young man, you'll see the light of day again.
Yeah, again, this is what I thought going into it. I thought they had something, right? I thought they were going to do something to make it more gray and they were going to land on manslaughter. But again, it was so cut and dry, right? So black and white that the defense literally had nothing. Karmelo couldn't even defend himself. Karmelo couldn't even defend himself. And that's the crazy part about this, because you have the internet filled with lies from people like Willie D, Antonio Speaks, the Amazing Bottom, aka the Amazing Lucas, Tariq Nasheed, others who are lying to their audiences, gaslighting them into believing things that were told to them by pedophiles, right? Imagine believing a pedophile, okay? That is who the Amazing Bottom, Antonio Speaks, Willie D, and Tariq.
That's the dude who say he seen a video. He's a convicted pedophile.
See, this is where they're getting their information from, right? Not people actually in the courtroom, right? Not real witnesses, not people who actually were there. Pedophiles. That's who they're getting their information from. It is amazing to me how, despite all of these individuals swearing up and down that Karmelo was jumped, that the Metcalf boys were bullied, that they had known each other before all this, and yada yada, all the lies that came out, right? These people were convinced Karmelo acted in self-defense because he was getting jumped, right?
Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
KYC alone won't protect your crypto service. Fraud, risky transactions, compliance gaps, and shifting U.S. regulations.
It's amazing how Karmelo couldn't even get on the stand with his life on the line, right? His freedom on the line. He couldn't even get on the stand and make a self-defense case. You got all these idiots embarrassing themselves. Let's be honest, right? They're embarrassing themselves on the internet, defending somebody who can't even defend themselves. He's not even willing to get on the stand and tell us why he thought it was appropriate to murder another teenager. And that's the shameful part about this. As somebody who does this job, right? You have to understand that you have a responsibility to your audience to, at the very least, get the basic facts right. Or at least I feel that way. Because I have integrity. I don't really pay attention to my subscribers. I don't pay attention to my views, my individual views on any video. I just cover and talk about what I think is important, what I want to talk about on a day-to-day basis, right? That's what I do. I don't really care too much about, the numbers or whatever, right? But I am aware that I do have a large amount of people who watch my videos every single day. And because of that, I know that, okay, at the very least, regardless of whether or not we agree or disagree, when it comes to my opinions, right? It is my responsibility as somebody that people come to or go to for news analysis, for information. I know that, okay, I need to at the very least put in a good faith effort to get the basic facts right and to not knowingly mislead the people who listen to me, who trust me, to at the very least, again, give them basic facts about a situation, right? I try my best to get it right. And I'm not perfect, but I try my best to at the very least give people the basic facts and not to lie to people, okay? But what we've seen over the past year is a group of individuals with large platforms. We're talking about millions of people, right? Collectively, that are watching these individuals. Antonio Speaks, the Amazing Bottom, Tariq Nasheed, Willie D, many others. Over the past year, They willingly and knowingly misled and lied to their audiences in order to stir up racial hatred in this country for their own monetary gain. And these are the people who pretend like, oh, well, we're fighting against the evil white supremacists, and that, you know, you can trust us, and that we're going to give you the truth, and, you know, we're the good guys, right? These are the people pretending like they're good people. Everybody else is, what does the Amazing Bottom say? The lineage of evil, right? But yet, these are the same people who lied to their audiences, misled them for a year straight on a case of obvious murder because of racial loyalty. Not right and wrong, not about justice or integrity or morality, not about any of that stuff. Simply about racial allegiance. That's it. They show, well, we'll defend a murderer because of racial allegiance. And I guarantee you, and I don't know, you know, how many of these individuals actually have like kids or a son or whatever, but I guarantee you, none of these individuals would ever make a self-defense argument if Austin Metcalf was their son, right? These people really thought that it made sense that Karmelo Anthony would have a valid self-defense claim over a push, right? But here's the reality. They actually never believed that because that's why they made up their lies. That's why they made up the lies about Karmelo being jumped, because they knew that the actual story was inconvenient for the narrative that they wanted to push, so they just make up facts. It's shameful, it really is. I'm not an advocate for censorship, but I do understand the case. I do understand the argument for why individuals who knowingly lie in order to stir up racial conflict in this country, I do understand the case for, you know, why those individuals, it might be better for the world for them not to have a platform, right? When you do stuff like this, right? When you use your platform so irresponsibly. Now, again, I'm not advocating for them to be censored. I'm just saying that I would really understand the argument, right? I would probably be sympathetic to it, to be honest with you, right? Those individuals. But furthermore, what I really want to say is that this is embarrassing for Black people, because Black people are the only people in this country who are dumb enough to believe these clowns in the first place, right? This is a complete and total embarrassment for Black people. It shows that we're not very smart, we're not very intelligent, we don't critically think, we don't read, we don't care about basic facts, we don't care about right and wrong, we don't care about morality. That's what it shows. Or to put it this way, the Black people were openly defending Karmelo. I don't want to smear all Black folks, but I'm just saying, Black people should get tired of these individuals, these grifters on the internet, making us look bad, right? This is why every other group, every other race behind closed doors, they're kiki and they're ha-ha, right? They're kiki and they're ha-ha about the state of Black America. They kiki and they ha-ha when Black people come out and tell me, white supremacy is holding us back. No, white supremacy is not holding you back. Your low IQ is holding you back. Your inability to critically think is holding you back. Your inability to read is holding you back. Your inability to control your emotions is holding you back. Your inability to evaluate credible sources of information is holding you back. That's what's holding Black people back. Everything about this trial highlighted what is really holding Black people back, why we're at the bottom, and why we're going to stay at the bottom.
At the end of April, the Supreme Court ruled Louisiana's congressional map unconstitutional.
Commercial, man. You need that damn many commercials, bro.
Why we're at the bottom, and why we're going to stay at the bottom. And that's the most frustrating part about this. I have been shocked by the lie, the distortion of reality coming from these individuals defending a murderer. It's fucked up. I just could not imagine as somebody who, again, presents information, talks about the news, I couldn't imagine misleading people like that. Like, I wouldn't even be able to live with myself if I was one of these individuals who was spreading these lies about what happened in this situation. I wouldn't be able to live with myself. I couldn't put that on my conscience, right? And that's, again, I think that's the saddest part about this. Complete and total disregard for the fact that a young teenager, a leader, okay, of a football team, a leader of young men, because that's who Austin Metcalf was. He lost his life tragically, and he was smeared into the dirt by individuals distorting reality and truth for their own personal financial gain, defending murder for their own personal financial gain because of racial allegiance, right? It's sickening. It really is. It's very sickening. And, I mean, obviously, there are going to be a lot of reactions to this. There's going to be a lot of cope. We're going to see, right? And we're going to talk about that. But, they're just going to say, oh, well, it's racism. Oh, well, the trial was rigged. That's what they're going to say. They're never going to admit that, hey, we were just wrong on the facts. Oh, we lied about what actually happened. They're not going to say that. Or we were too stupid. We were too dumb to read about what actually happened. Or that, oh, well, we were believing pedophiles, right? They're not going to say that. They're going to say, well, it was racist, white man, all white jury, even though the jury's not all white. Again, it's going to be more lies. It's going to be more excuses. It's going to be coke. It's going to be old white man bad. It's never going to be Karmelo Anthony is a murderer, right? And he made a really, really, really bad decision, okay? And he did not act in self-defense. It's not going to be that. It's not going to be the truth, unfortunately. But regardless, the good thing is it doesn't matter because Karmelo's been convicted and hopefully he is sentenced to the maximum. I believe the maximum is life with parole. Yeah, I'm hoping that he gets that because that's what he deserves. So, again, my thoughts and prayers are with the Metcalf family. I am happy that justice has been served. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on Support and Share. A Black Conservative Perspective. Peace.
And see, before we get into this next video, man, I got so many comments, man.
He broke down and he cried.
Give me 1 second. They got so many comments, but I'm gonna say this here before I get into the next video. Everything he said at the end of the video about how all of these situations make black people look is one of the main reasons why I made this series. And that's why I titled it, How the Karmelo Anthony Situation Makes It Worse for Black People. And last episode, I played y'all all kind of white people and some of the things they saying, because white people usually be scared to say something, but the jig is up. They're no longer afraid to speak how they really feel, and they're justified in that. And they're not justified in that because, oh, they're saying it because they're racist. It's not about race. It's about reputation. The thing that black people go through or the lack thereof in this country, when I say the lack thereof, the lack of employment opportunity, promotions, and things of that sort, it's not because of your race, it's because of your reputation. When you get on these apps and publicly support people just because they killed a white person or publicly celebrate Charlie Kirk's death or father of when y'all do these things and you get these think in y'all small brain for the ones that not all, but for the ones of y'all who think y'all somehow get back at the evil white man for something he done to your great grandfather, who the slave. And again, we talk about slavery, that was misunderstood. And if you study, you know that the way that situation happened. Now, what are slaves mistreated when they got here? Absolutely. But when we get when we don't know history and we were lied to and told that, oh, these white people went to Africa with guns blazing and told a whole bunch of black people, get on the boat or we're going to kill you, threw them in the bottom and came to America. That's not what happened. People in Africa sold us, our people, the other Africans sold us to the Arabs, and the Arabs sold us to America because America was building at that point. Because the Indians was here, they wasn't doing nothing, they wasn't developing the land. And they came here and they found the land, or whatever, however you say, stole it, whatever, however you conquer. I don't call it stolen. They came here, conquered the land, and built it. Because again, whether you like it or not, this is what white people do. Still to this day, they build and they create. You can call me a coon, but you can't deny it. Everything we use, internet, smartphone, airplane, cars, these corporations that y'all work at, if y'all work, all of these things are created by white people. White people are very innovative and they build and they govern well. Black people have their strengths. They're funny. They're very they can sing, they can dance. They're the entertainers of the world. Not saying they can't be more, but I'm just saying as of right now, this is where things stand. You can get mad at me, but you can't deny what I'm saying. And this is why, again, I named it what I named it, because these things make it worse for Black people than it already is. Right? Because when you are a community like Black America who don't build businesses, I'm not talking about a mom and pop store in the hood. I'm talking about corporations that employ hundreds and thousands of people. You don't want to piss off the people who do. Because the people that's in power, if they're pissed off, now they can play a game and there's nothing you can do about the game that they're playing. And again, this hurts Black people all around the board. I think that judge wouldn't have gave him as much time if because people got Black fatigue, they're tired. And again, white people are more tactful, they're more diplomatic, they don't handle things like Black people. They're not overly emotional and impulsive. Some of them are. That's why you have situations like where you had the white supremacy in Buffalo go in the Black grocery store and kill everybody. The dude in one of the Carolinas who went in the Black church and killed everybody. But it's very few of them. Majority of white people, they're going to handle things with tact. They're going to handle things diplomatically, and that's why they busting y'all up systematically right now. This is why you've been working at that company for 20 years, and here it is, Ling, Maria, Karen, Amina, the Middle Eastern woman is taking y'all spot now. I'm speaking from a woman perspective or male perspective, right? This is why Lee, this is why Ahmad, this is why Amid, this is why Jose, this is why they are coming to take your spot in corporate America. They get a promotion before you because you are looked at as the sore eye of America. You've earned this by your actions. And you think when you're getting on these social media apps and you're going at it with white people, and when they say something back, you go bring their picture to the job and get them fired or get them reprimanded. Or when you're in the store and you're being very rude to white people, don't know who they are, who they connected to. When all of these things are happening, y'all are coming again. As I said at the beginning of the video, people could have said, you feel like Austin got what he deserved and you support Karmelo on some Black solidarity, which is asinine. But if you do that, just keep it to yourself and talk with your friends about it. But when you come out in public and say these things and post these things, the people who created this app is white. The people who watching y'all, everything about what y'all doing. And again, it's hurting y'all. It's hurting y'all children. It's hurting Black men like me. Well, not me, because I'm a man of God. He gonna make a way. But I'm just saying, he made way. He make ways and he made way. But I'm just saying, the Black people who are not a part of that foolishness, they have to come out and make it be known. Then they get called coon. But even if they don't come out and be made known, it's not like when you go to these places to get employment or you work for a company and you don't get a promotion. These people are looking at the overall. They don't know the difference. They don't know the difference. And so instead of saying, you know what, because like I say, I say this all the time, I'm going to continue to say this. White people, if they wanted to, they are 60% of the population. If they wanted to, they can say, you know what, we tired of these Black people and what they're bringing to America, destroying, we're tired of, yeah, it is a few good ones, but it's not enough. So what we're going to do is we're just going to wipe them out. All of these other races, the Asians, the all of these people that come here, the Arab, they're gonna join team with the white man because they know that the white man represents power in America. The Black man represents destruction. He don't stick by his own. He destroy his own and get on beat and rap about it. Man, we're not gonna go with them. We're gonna side with the people in power, and they could wipe us out. And yes, it would affect the bottom line, but it wouldn't hurt it. Things will be business as usual, right? Because we do spend a lot of money. But again, that money will be made up with each other. That's why I was telling people. It was funny. I took one of a lady friend of mine to get her lashes done, and we went into the store that day, and I think it was a weekend. I could be wrong. I think it was a weekend. It was real slow, and when we got there, nobody was there, so she was able to get straight in the chair and get her lashes done. And while we was there, we noticed, and I noticed, because I was telling her, we noticed, no, because she got a matter of fact, she got her lashes done and her feet done. It was like two stores. It was like a Chinese store, and it had all that in it. And she got her lashes done. Then she went and got her toes done, her feet done, I mean. And it was nobody in there but her and me and her. And of course, I wasn't getting done. I just was on my phone and I was talking to her and stuff. No sooner than we was in there, she got her lashes done. By the time she got her lashes done and moved to get her feet done, old Chinese women would come one by one. And after, I think when we got ready to leave, it was 3 of them in there. See, the thing is, with them, they gonna support each other. So in other words, if black people was alleviated, again, it would affect the bottom line, the money, but it wouldn't hurt them because they know how to support each other, and they come over here, and that's the first thing that they're gonna do is support each other. That's why they have in these little Italy, little Haiti, I got all these little China. These people come from other countries and they know how to support their own. I remember you talk about Little Italy, like in New York. I know for sure they got one in New York. They might have them in other places, but they got Chinatown everywhere. If you're going to Little Italy in New York, everything is Italian. Everything is Italian. When you go into these places, all the workers are Italian. I don't know if they hire black people. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But everything is Italian. So they're gonna know that they're gonna feed it, they're gonna help each other make money, and also they're gonna help each other, they gonna support each other. Because we can find our good, and it's natural. We want to eat Italian food from the motherland, Italy. These people in America, they just get recipes. These people cook from the heart because they know it. So it's just so many different reasons. So they gonna support their own. So if there was just white black people out, again, it would affect the bottom line, but it wouldn't hurt it. And so, but again, they not taking it on that level. They just going from a systematic standpoint. And then the black people that notice that, they make an excuse like, oh, it's not fair because they doing it because I'm black. No, sweetheart, or no, my brother. They not doing this because of your race. They doing this because of the reputation of your race. But again, let's continue. Let's get in this next one.
Play through the middle. Let's make this fight count.
The game between gangs. Play camp. Black women, especially Black women who have. When they came back with the verdict, he broke down and he cried. Some, that family nurse not good. That was not good. When they came back with the verdict, he broke down and he cried. Some, that family nurse not good. That was not good. You been in there. I'm top of you before. You been in there. That boy smiled. When they came back with the verdict, he broke down and he cried. Some, that family nurse not good. That was not good. You been in there. I'm top of you before. You been in there. That boy smiled. That boy broke down and cried. They done fucked up the rest of this boy's life.
And this whole racial divide. You see what I mean? I'm trying.
They didn't mess up his life. He messed up his own life, unfortunately. Please give me some likes and comments. Like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe.
Trying to get to the point in this particular case, and it's hard for everybody. Let me try to look at this in a very sterile way as an attorney. Let me try to look at this as a scientist, as a scholar. But unfortunately, we keep getting back to race. And you know, here's the thing, man, and I know you know this. The same people that cheer you are the same people gonna be wishing for your death. These same people, oh yeah, you know, we support Karmelo Anthony. until somebody like him do something to him. And then you want to know, well, why he not in jail? Why y'all don't get the neighborhood cleaned up? And I'm not saying Karmelo's a bad kid. From what I understand, he doesn't even have a record. But constantly just falling on the side of, oh, he's black or he's Asian or whatever. So because he looks like me, he's my race or she's my race, I'm just gonna side with her. Let's try to focus on something more tangible. You see what I mean? And in this particular situation, the only thing that I know that is not true is that if somebody uses a disproportionate response to your force in, you know, a society where people get killed for pushing people, or somebody accidentally step on your foot and you go to the extremes with it, it's not acceptable, man. We can't live like that, man. That's
Boy. So we got to follow up on our coverage of the Karmelo Anthony murder trial. As you guys should be aware, unless you've been living on a rock, Karmelo Anthony has been found guilty of murdering Austin Metcalf at the track meet. It turned out all of the things that the pro-blacks claimed happened that day did not happen. They were completely and totally wrong. And they're currently coping with the reality that they have to do mental gymnastics in order to explain to the audience why they did not get the outcome that they expected, right? If you paid attention to the facts, if you read, right, if you actually, you know, watch the news, right, listen to the news, or understand anything about what's going on, you should have expected this result. This was not, you know, a surprise, to be honest with you. But, you know, again, some people are having a hard time dealing with their reality, and we're going to talk about that. But first, we got to talk about a bombshell update, as Karmelo has been sentenced. Apparently, the jury, the same jury that found him guilty, is now giving him 35 years in prison for stabbing Austin Metcalf to death. Okay, they rejected the sudden passion claim, so he's getting 35. And you have multiple reporters who are now saying that, again, he's going to get 35 years. DJ Miles, again, this is a reporter with CBS News. He says, in response to when is he eligible for parole, he will have to serve half, and it's very rare for convicted murderers to get parole the first time they are up for it. Yeah, so, you know, realistically, he'll probably be in there for at least 20, right? I'm personally very disappointed. Okay, I thought that he should have got life, but realistically, you know, when he gets out, he's going to miss all of his productive adult life, right? And he's not going to have a great time in prison, to be honest with you. Not going to have a great time at all. In fact, if he ends up having to slang bussy to get by, right, in prison, I would argue that that's probably worse than death, right, to be honest with you, okay? I feel like I've said this before on my channel. For me personally, that would probably be my worst nightmare, right? I mean, like, if I could say, hey, what is something that you're afraid of happening to you the most? What possibly could happen to Karmelo in prison? Again, consider how we were told that Karmelo is so scrawny. He's only 5'8", 130, which is why it was justified for him to stab that big white boy in the chest, right? If he's as small as they claim, right, that they told us, again, he better start bulking up, right? He's going to need all the bulk, all the muscle he can get, right? He's going to need all of it, okay, for prison, because it is likely that he's going to have a long, hard time, right? He's going to have a hard time. He's going to have a long time in prison, if you catch my drift. So I'm just saying that is a nightmare scenario, right? In my opinion, personally, for me, what Karmelo is likely to face. But hey, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. Meanwhile, you have black liberals. They are in full-blown coke mode, right? And they're coming up with some of the silliest arguments I've ever heard as to why Karmelo was found guilty. Because now here comes the coke, right? Individuals like the Amazing Bottom and Little Willie D told their audiences that Karmelo was jumped, that this is, you know, self-defense. Like, this is what they said throughout all of this. Now all of a sudden they're having a hard time accepting reality. Like, for example, Willie D brought on a pro-black lawyer, attorney on his show to talk about the Karmelo Anthony trial, the verdict, right? The guilty verdict. And let's just say this did not go the way that Little Willie D thought that this was going to go. Take a look. Flashback.
There was video played of the incident inside of the courtroom that showed Austin to be the aggressor. Austin confronting Karmelo, Austin pushing Karmelo, Austin then getting stuck by Karmelo. But it also showed Austin's brother, Hunter, being at the center of the fight. He also put hands on Karmelo, and so did some of their other friends. Witnesses said that at
This
least
dude Willie D,
five,
man.
not
Man,
just
I
witnesses, but it's
almost
also
hate him,
video,
but
at least 5 of them
this dude is pathetic.
jumped Karmelo. The witness never mentioned jumping Karmelo. Other witnesses for Austin never mentioned jumping Karmelo. They jumped him. What do you expect to happen if a person has a weapon on them and they will not hesitate to use that weapon? What do you think is going to happen?
Several days later.
Because it reads like a math problem. 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = 4. Okay, guilty of murder. It's not that hard to figure out. The only people surprised about this are the people who've been listening to a lot of this hype. But if you actually read the law, if you actually read what the law says and what the law requires, what is murder, what is stand your ground in the state of Texas, what is homicide, what's capital murder, and what would be considered manslaughter, it reads right there. And the thing is, man, it's gonna keep happening. Okay, let me say it like this: it's gonna keep happening. You got a lot of people who are out of control, brother. You see what I mean? You can't stab. I'm gonna keep going back to the fact that you can't stab somebody because they push. Just like you can't shoot somebody because they bump into you. You see what I mean? If you in a fist fight, put your hands up and fight. You understand what I'm saying? You can't do that in a civilized society. What happens if every time somebody pushes you, somebody got to die? Is that what we going in society?
Okay, I got to jump in right here, Dennis.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
This is the second time that you said this. You call this a civilized society. America is not a civilized society. We are living among.
Willie D is one of the dumbest, and if you don't know Willie D, he was 1/3 and the least what happened? He was 1/3 and the least did I press the wrong button? Yeah, he was 1/3 of the group Ghetto Boys, and he just
successfully.
he just dumb as a box of rock. And I'm talking about this man. He sound dumb. He look dumb. And I mean, he just say just anything out his mouth. But let's continue, man. This dude here, bro.
You got some of them too, man.
Civilized nuts running around here. You got some civilized nuts in here.
A lot of this hype. But if you actually read the law, if you actually read what the law says and what the law requires, what is murder, what is stand your ground in the state of Texas, what is homicide, what's capital murder, and what would be considered manslaughter, it reads right there. And the thing is, man, it's gonna keep happening. Okay, let me say it like this: it's gonna keep happening. You got a lot of people who are out of control, brother. You see what I mean? You can't stab. I'm gonna keep going back to the fact that you can't stab somebody because they push. Just like you can't shoot somebody because they bump into you. You see what I mean? If you in a fist fight, put your hands up and fight. You understand what I'm saying? You can't do that in a civilized society. What happens if every time somebody pushes you, somebody got to die? Is that what we going in society?
Okay, I got to jump in right here, Dennis.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
This is the second time that you said this. You call this a civilized society. America is not a civilized society.
Out of your mind. You out of your mind.
We got some of them too, man. But
civilized nuts running around here. You got some civilized nuts in here.
Yeah, man, but we still can't just be shooting and killing and stabbing folks just because they push us. You gotta at least let them do something. You know what I'm saying? Look, man, if those boys had surrounded him and they was packing him out, they was mollywopping, they was jumping on him and stomping him out, I would understand if he pulled out a blade and took it and used it. I would get that. But this is not that situation. We in broad daylight. We surrounded by people. This is not a alley in Brooklyn at 2:30 in the morning. This is not Compton, California, South Central LA in the 90s, and you getting you over in Watts and you got caught up in the Nickerson Garden or the PJs because you over there trying to see a girl you ain't supposed to be overseeing. We're not talking about those situations. We're talking about broad daylight, suburban Texas, two kids at a track meet, and one of them pushed the other. And keep in mind, Karmelo was talking shit. See, that's another thing. He wasn't just sitting there quiet. You know, he said, y'all football team is ass.
Yeah,
okay,
when
I get it. We're supposed to be able to say what we want to say. I get that.
They started talking shit to him first.
Whatever they was talking shit together. What
right?
I'm trying to say. I'm not just talking to you as a lawyer. I'm talking to you as a father. I empathize with Karmelo Anthony. His mama and his daddy are not going to be able to see their grandchildren because that boy's in prison. This boy he probably ain't never even been with a woman at 17 years old. He going to be in there with them savages and them soldiers. You understand? I bet they going to push him off a bench. I bet he ain't going to jump up and stab one of them.
Straight up.
And on the flip side, I can empathize with this other boy, Austin Metcalf. His brother had to watch him bleed out in front of him.
Oh, his brother started this shit,
hey,
man.
Hold on, man. Wow, hilarious. Absolutely hilarious, right? Again, Willie D was one of these individuals pushing this nonsense that Karmelo was jumped and that somehow, some way, this was self-defense and it was justified and pushing all these lies. And it's just hilarious to me because if you knew this guy, this defense attorney, who told Willie D that this is obviously murder, right? Like, it's like very, very, very like cut and dry murder, right? If you had this guy telling you this, why did you go to your audience and tell him that this was self-defense, right? Again, it's very, very, very interesting watching these individuals do mental gymnastics in order to explain why is it that they were wrong, right, to their audiences, right? It's not working out well for them, okay? And that brings me to the amazing bottom, who is going to attempt to explain to his audience why he was wrong as well, too, because he bought into the pedophile story that was told on the internet about Karmelo being jumped, because that's where the story came from, right? And all these individuals bought into it, and now, they are, again, shocked, right? Pikachu face that they're wrong, right? And the cope here is hilarious. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Flashback. C-Balls Fast. Our students are ready. Learn more at wgu.edu.
And get into this.
Flashback.
And apparently his brother come over to Karmelo. Words are exchanged, and he says they tried to swing at him. Karmelo goes to his bag, and then they pursue. They continue on.
Dude went in his bag, and what they went to try to jump this dude and punch on this dude, man. And he protected himself, dude. That's what happened. Yeah. It wasn't just one. It was both of them, bro. Austin, the dude that got unalive, and his brother physically went over there to intentionally. It's not to the point that he brought a knife.
But the cherry on top is, do you want to know what happens when someone doesn't have an argument? When someone doesn't have a rebuttal, what do? They just laugh. And I want you to see this clip by this Sambo soldier who thinks I don't know what he was doing in this clip, but he absolutely makes a fool of himself. It's always going to be a different story than the main story that the racist right tries to promote. Always going to be a different story. When people talk about you can't use lethal force is in the eye of the beholder, right? It's the same thing we have when it comes to an officer, that they fear for their lives. It can't be in hindsight. It has to be taken into account of what happened at that time. So if Anthony is being attacked, he's already been assaulted, and you have two people, it's 2 versus 1. In addition to them being completely outweighed, he's outweighed by them, right? They weigh 200-something pounds or whatnot. Anthony's a very skinny kid. then yes, a lawyer could actually argue that he had reasonable belief that he was going to have, and not immediate imminent death, because it's not imminent death, but also a serious bodily injury. Those are two factors that come into play. So if he absolutely believes that he's going to incur serious bodily injury, then yeah, pulling out a knife to defend yourself is absolutely reasonable. It's absolutely can be seen as self-defense.
Wow. Honestly, what do you say at this point?
1 year later.
So I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Karmelo's going away. That's correct. Karmelo is getting locked up. Now, I don't know for how long, but one thing I do know for certain, Karmelo is getting locked up. He's going to prison. And to be honest with you, I don't think that's right, okay? But the only people to blame in this scenario is his defense team. His defense team is possibly the worst group of attorneys that I've ever seen, especially on a trial such as this, okay, where the stakes are high. This team was borderline incompetent. And here's the thing. The reason why it makes it so painful to relay this is due to the fact that the facts and the evidence were on their side. Anyway,
the facts and the evidence were on the side of the defense. Now, let's listen to the amazing bottom tell us what specific facts and evidence were on the side of the defense that they could have used to defend Karmelo Anthony. Again, this is just hilarious. This is like comedy to me, to be honest with you, because now it's moved on to, Karmelo's defense was weak. Not that they lied, not that they fell for bullshit, not that they misled their audiences. No, that's not it, right? They're not stupid. The defense team is bad. Now, keep in mind, Karmelo raised over $500,000 thanks to individuals like this for legal defense. You would think that for over $500,000, they could buy a competent defense team. But the unfortunate reality for Karmelo is that his defense team seems incompetent, not because they're actually incompetent, it's because he doesn't actually have a valid self-defense case, which is what I argue, and everybody with common sense, everybody knew, except the pro-blackity blacks, individuals like this, everybody knew this from the beginning. And again, now, all of a sudden, the pro-blacks are shocked, Pikachu face, that the defense team couldn't come up with a good defense because Karmelo doesn't have a defense, right? Like, there is no good defense, okay? It doesn't matter how good the lawyer is. If you don't have a valid self-defense claim, if you don't have a good argument, right, then it's not really going to help you out in court, okay? Again, the hope here is hilarious. Let's continue.
Ask any attorney. They will tell you that that's not enough. It's never enough in court. The facts and evidence may be on your side, but if you can't relay it to a jury in a compelling fashion, right, in a compelling narrative, right, then you're going to lose. It just is what it is. And when it comes to the prosecution, they had all the sizzle and no stick.
Like this woman said, I forgot her name. I think she was on the John Gotti defense team. She said when she get a client, she don't even care what they did. She said all her job is to make the state prove their case. And if they can't do that, she'll get an acquittal. Simple as that. The defense, that's what their job is. Their job is to make the state look like an idiot and make the state look like that whatever case they got, can you prove that? You say this would happen, can you prove it beyond a reasonable doubt? And this case was that, open and shut. But let's continue.
And it is painful to understand that this kid is going to go away, bro, for defending himself due to an incompetent defense team. And even in the closing argument, it's a testament to how incompetent, Karmelo's defense team was. Because usually, right, in Texas, I looked this up, is that usually, and it was reported on this as well, is that, the prosecution, the state, they get to have an opening, closing, and, a closing, right? They get to go twice, okay, because the burden of proof is on them. This prosecution was so pompous. This prosecution was so arrogant and in their understanding of the incompetence of Karmelo's defense that they waived their right to go first. They waived their opening, closing argument. I want you to think about that. Do you understand how slow, how incompetent, how handicapped the defense has to be for the prosecution to be like, we don't even need to say anything. We'll respond to whatever they say. How about that?
Again, this is so hilarious, right? The logic here is stunning. It really is. Okay. This is the mental gymnastics Olympics, right? Maybe, just maybe, the prosecution's argument was so strong and the defense's argument was so weak because they have no evidence. They don't have evidence of self-defense. The star witness that they had, right, that was supposed to say something that came close to the narrative that these individuals swore up and down was true, was instantly discredited by the prosecution. There's nothing that the defense can do about that, right? Right? Like, there's nothing. There was video. You had 20 plus witnesses come out and basically say that Karmelo Anthony was the aggressor, that there was no fight, okay? Karmelo was not jumped. He was not surrounded, that Karmelo Anthony was in the wrong. But, you know, apparently this guy thinks that the defense is supposed to work with evidence that he doesn't have, right? It's amazing. It's amazing. They're going to blame everything. They're going to make every excuse. It's going to be racism, hate, and bigotry. Oh, well, the defense was bad. The defense was terrible. Well, y'all the ones that raised over $500,000 for Karmelo and his defense, right? We told y'all that they were blowing the money when he got it. And y'all said we were conspiracy theories. Now y'all claiming that his lawyer wasn't good. So what are they spending money on, right? What are they spending money on if their lawyer isn't good? Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
That we don't even need an opening argument, okay? Let them go ahead. Come on now, dog. That is insane to me, bro. That's insane to me. There has to be like a mistrial based off an incompetent, representation. I mean, it's wild, bro. It's wild because one of the factors that kept on being brought up was the knife, bro. Even in the defense's closing arguments, they try to say it was self-defense and that he was surrounded and yada yada yada. But none of that matters, right? None of that matters because you haven't explained why he brought the knife. So if you don't explain why he brought the knife, what does that allow the prosecution to do? The prosecution goes and paints a narrative, right? Prosecution, that is like the crux of everything. The knife, oh, why is the knife, right? And that's going to stick in the jury because the jury does not have a reasonable answer. We may have reasonable answers. Hell, I think there was one that was even foreshadowed that many people thought that was going to be presented was that, hey, he likes to go camping, right? They brought that up, if I'm not mistaken, in court. He likes to go camping. How could they not attach the knife to camping? The heck?
Amazing. Bruh. I'm surprised that these people haven't been scammed out of all of their money, right? These people really believe that Karmelo brought a knife to school because he camps, right? Now, I don't know a lot of Negroes that camp, right? Now, I know Black people that hunt, right? You can say that. You can say some other things, but camping? Really? Again, the amazing bottom here. Instead of just admitting that you were wrong, that you got the facts wrong, right? That you believe a false story. Instead of just admitting that, he's talking about things that are nonsensical. Karmelo can't even give you an explanation on why he bought the knife, right? Karmelo did not testify. Why? Because even Karmelo cannot articulate why he, quote unquote, acted in self-defense. If Karmelo can't articulate why he thought it was self-defense, why do you think that the attorney can actually articulate? Nobody can articulate it better than Karmelo, and Karmelo did not speak. He didn't testify. Okay? That's why the defense couldn't explain why Karmelo brought the knife, because Karmelo can't even explain why he brought the knife, right? Not without incriminating himself. So again, it's just funny to me how these individuals they're engaging in all the conspiracy and the mental gymnastics instead of just admitting you were wrong. You were wrong. You lied. They can't do that though, because again, they admit they lied. Then they're admitting to their audience that they misled them. So you have to come up with this, right? You got to get on camera and do the tap dance, right? It's amazing.
Hey, he brings a knife, he brings a knife all the time, right? Because he likes to go camping. He just came back from a camping trip. Something. Give us something so the jury can explain that away in their heads. because they didn't do that.
See how dumb they is? I don't care if you go camping Monday through Friday. I don't care if you camping Monday through Sunday. That does not justify you killing somebody for putting their hands on you. Am I the only one? Like, what are you talking about? Man.
All right. And the closing argument was so weak that the prosecution just ate it up. It was something along the lines of you can't meet a shove with the stab, especially when you provoke. Dang. So right there, bro, right there, do we get in a sentence, he's trying to eliminate his right to self-defense because due to provocation. Provocation, you don't get to claim self-defense. Secondly, he's trying to also, right there, you can't meet a shove with the stab. Hey, his reaction was insane, was absolutely insane to a shove. You don't get to just shake someone because of a shove. Bro, right there, that nullifies the defense and everything they say. Why? Because they did not bring about why Karmelo his response was justified. If you're responding with lethal force, you have got to justify that lethal force in the eyes of a jury, bro. You have to explain why no one was armed, you have a knife, and why that was justified to use that knife during this altercation. They failed to do that. And on top of that, they failed to bring about why he had a knife to begin with. So what does the prosecution end with? Prosecution tells the jury that, hey, you need to think about his state of mind when he bought the knife, okay? That's what you have to think about. His state of mind when he bought the knife to attract me. That's what you have to think about. In addition to that, they go on to say that, hey, listen, you can give him manslaughter, absolutely, if you believe that Metcalf fell onto the knife, okay? If you believe that Metcalf impaled himself, give by all means, give Karmelo Anthony manslaughter. And it's like, bruh, oh my God, oh my Lord, bro. So now I'm thinking genuinely, based off the closing arguments, because if you're left with that, that's the last thing that's going to be in their head. Well, Metcalf falling onto the blade, impaling himself, that's ludicrous, as the prosecution say. So now he's really trying to cripple them. And honestly, I would say shame and mock them for even thinking about manslaughter, for even thinking about it. They want a murder conviction.
And that's what they got, right? That's what they got. So this is what I talk about. This is what I mean when I say these are bad people, right? Like, these are not good people. Clearly, he read what happened, right? Clearly, he knows what actually happened and what was said, right? Like, clearly, he knows why Karmelo got convicted of murder. He knows this, okay? But see, instead of coming to the correct conclusion, which is that the reason why the lawyer was not able to articulate any of the things that Mason Bottom here is claiming that they should have done a better job at articulating, is because, hold on now, wait, let me think, right? Let's think. Maybe, just maybe, Karmelo Anthony does not have a valid self-defense claim, right? Maybe there is no defense for what Karmelo did. You ever thought about that? Right? Maybe, just maybe, the defense were using desperate arguments like Austin Metcalf stabbed himself, right? He caused his own death, right? Maybe they were using those desperate arguments because they didn't have anything else. Maybe that's how obviously guilty Karmelo was, right? Which everybody saw except individuals like Amazing Bottom, Antonio Speaks, Willie D, Tariq Nasheed, because they're blinded by racial allegiance. And when you're blinded by racial allegiance, you're not living in reality. These people are no different than the LGBTQ mob, right? Where you distort reality and truth to fit your narrative, to fit your worldview. Because again, you have an allegiance to an ideology. You have an allegiance to an identity over reality, over morality, over justice. And yes, when you do that, you end up looking stupid like this, right? You end up having to explain why is it that you were one of the very few people that did not clearly see that this was murder, right? It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. That's the only thing amazing about this guy. And at some point, maybe, just maybe, their audiences will realize that they're being bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray, run them up. Here's the thing. A lot of the pro-blacks don't like me. They can call me a sellout. They can call me this. They can call me that. But you can't call me a liar. I'm not going to purposely lie to you. Okay? Call me what you want, but you can't call me a liar. Okay? I'm not going to purposely lie to you. Okay? And mislead you on basic facts. Right? Like these individuals. But some people like being lied to, right? And if you like being lied to, then, you know, hey, this is the type of content for you. But I personally, from a moral perspective, an ethical perspective, I could never lie to my audience like this or mislead my audience like this because I never want to have to do this type of explaining for something that, again, was so obvious. These people have zero credibility, but you don't need credibility when your audience is based on racial allegiance and not reality. So, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
We got one more, and we're going to go ahead on and close part 3 out. I'll see y'all Friday for part 4. So we got to get all this out. We can't leave nothing on the table. Then we got to cover the parents. Ooh-wee. Man, I don't know, man. Ooh-wee.
Black women, especially Black women who have Black male children, live in fear and agony every single day.
Now, before we get into this one, I got to go ahead on and cut the light on and say a few things real quick. You know what's so funny about these characters like Jasmine Crockett? And I gotta spare Al Sharpton, I gotta spare the Benjamin Crump, I gotta spare all of these degenerates, but I'm gonna get on her. It's so funny, bro. How in a situation like this, and again, this is why Black people, I need y'all to understand. This woman, right? Why are we not taking serious as Black women? Why are we not taking serious as Black people? Again, this is reason number 50,000. Now here she is coming out talking about, I'm gonna let her say it, but just coming out and saying anything instead of like some of the race hustlers, the known race hustlers did. She just kind of come, she's out of Congress, she got voted out, she lost the recent election to be in the Senate. So she just want to stay relevant. So she just got to come out and say something to stand with the solidarity, not of Black, but of stupidity. Let it be known she's still standing with that. The Black mother and how they in fear because their son in this racist white world and all this. They never say that they Black child got a high proposition. Might be using that word out of context, but they got a high probability of the word I meant to be killed 95% more by another Black person than a damn car wreck. They got a listen, I want to hear that again. Maybe y'all didn't hear me. Maybe I know I talk fast. Your Black son have a more high probability to be killed by another Black man over a car wreck or a Black person, because there's a lot of domestic abuse going on now where the Black woman is killing the Black man and the Black man is killing the Black woman. But I digress. But we're going to get into Miss Jasmine Crash Out Crockett and see what she had to say about this. Again, she's not going to use this situation and say, look, I'm going to go around with my power and get on the internet and say, hey, Black children, period. Forget this situation. Have emotional intelligence. Stop the violence. Let's start signing bills the way we can eradicate this rap music that's a big cancer in our culture that's ruining these children because they're being raised by these rappers because they don't have fathers. Let me speak against things that are actually affecting us. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come out and say this. Let's continue. This. I can't believe these things. But I mean, I can believe them, but I can't.
Black women, especially Black women who have Black male children, live in fear and agony every single day. Of fear and
Because another little Black boy. You're right, damn it.
agony that I promise you, the Metcalfs probably never spend a day living that way. And we're gonna have just some real conversations about race in this country.
Played a role in the verdict.
Oh my God.
I know Collin County. So absolutely. Collin County is right north of Dallas County. And I can tell you that I have had cases that I felt like played out differently because of the counties that they were in. And unfortunately, that was not the county for a Black boy.
So if this were a white boy in his exact same position, you don't think he'd get a 35-year sentence?
I would guarantee you it wouldn't have happened. I don't even know if he would have been convicted, because if a white boy would have said that they were afraid of a Black boy, something tells me that that jury that didn't have any Black people on it, they would have believed him in his fear.
Well, there's so many different opinions on this case. I mean, even your Republican colleague, Randy Fine, I mean, he's saying that he should get the death penalty. Your take on that?
Again, racism.
I don't have an opinion. I don't have an opinion. Boy. So we got to follow up on our coverage of the Karmelo Anthony trial and verdict that was very predictable to anybody who actually paid attention to the actual facts and details about what happened surrounding the murder of Austin Metcalf. Now, if you didn't pay attention, or if you're Black and you think with your skin color instead of your brain, then you're shocked, Pikachu face, right, that Karmelo was found guilty of murder. And initially, I thought that a lot of these people who were defending Karmelo didn't actually believe what they were saying, right? I thought that, you know what, Karmelo was found guilty, they'll just go away, right? They won't defend what obviously was a murder. But I was wrong. I was really, really, really wrong, because post-conviction, you have Black people losing their minds, including attacking random white people over this conviction of Karmelo Anthony. And we got to talk about it, because this is just getting to the point where it is embarrassing, right? Black people are embarrassing themselves in front of the country for the world to see over this situation. And I mean, honestly, it's kind of par for the course, right? Black people. Right? Again, I think videos like this is a great demonstration of why we're at the bottom, okay? Because it seems that Black people are just not living in the same reality as everybody else. I used to think that it was very offensive for Democrats to basically compare the LGBTQ community and Black people, but I'm at the point where I think that Black folks are just as delusional as LGBTQ, right? Because like, these people are not living in reality, right? Like, they're just not living in reality. Let's go over some of the things that these people believe that's just not true. And these conspiracy theories just keep popping up more and more and more, right? And they're not going away. Like, for example, Karmelo Anthony was not jumped. Hunter Metcalf was not involved in physically attacking Karmelo Anthony. That didn't happen. Karmelo's father was not pictured with the judge, right? That is something that has also went viral. These pro-Blacks, they're claiming that Karmelo's father and the judge and the DA are best friends, except it's not true. It's not true. Also, Karmelo's lawyer is not a public defender. Mike Howard is a damn good lawyer. However, he could not defend Karmelo Anthony because Karmelo Anthony did not have a valid self-defense claim. His self-defense case was so weak that even a good lawyer was not able to defend Karmelo Anthony with any type of real conviction, right? Couldn't do it. The jury pool was not all white. Okay, it was not an all-white jury pool. Despite what these people keep claiming, unfortunately, these conspiracy theories are growing, right? They're growing as Black people across the internet cope with the reality that Karmelo was convicted of murder, okay? And I want to play a highlight clip of just some of the stupidest takes, some of the conspiracy theories that are being spread by people who clearly don't read, right? They have no clue what actually happened, or they're just flat out lying. Regardless, it's really bad. It is really embarrassing. But this is currently what's happening. Take a look.
It takes 4 hours of smoking for us to give our sausages their signature flavor.
Embarrassing. But this is currently what's happening. Take a look.
Karmelo Anthony was found guilty with the murder of Austin Metcalf. He was then sentenced to 35 years in prison. 2026 has been like a month that I think is going to be looked back a lot in history, especially Black America. A message has been sent to us. And I just found it so funny that they had the Cyrus Belton trial and the Karmelo Anthony one back to back. Y'all don't find that strange. A 14-year-old walks into a store, falsely accused of stealing, so he runs away in fear of his life, gets shot in the back. His killer walks away free, not guilty. Self-defense. Then we have Karmelo Anthony, who's minding his business.
And see, it's stuff like that I want to speak about. That's why I named this series How Karmelo Anthony's Situation Makes It Worse for Black People. Again, as I said before in this video, in this live, that when you pissing off the people who in power, just like a child pissing off their parents, you pissing off the people who in power. And white people, although they the largest population in America, they in power now in mass because of mindset. It's not because of racism. It's not because of, oh, the white man holding you back. But Black people, that's not where their mindset at. They don't build. They don't create. When they get money, they use it to flex on other Black people. When they get money, they use it to take trips. They use it to buy designer items, foreign car. They do everything but get together with friends and try to start up a company that could potentially in 10, 20 years be a corporation that employs millions. And that way they'll be able to take their place in the rulership hierarchy. They don't do that. So what they do is they sit back and blame white people for everything, but white people is in a position of power. And when you piss them off, again, they're not going to hit the streets like y'all would do. They handle things more diplomatically. And they are busting y'all up systematically. And it's not because of race. It's because of reputation that y'all carry and the thing that y'all doing. So whenever they get the gun, which is they always have the gun, but whenever they get the gun, then they got the real power, they executed it. And then you sitting back saying, oh, because of race. Doesn't matter. It's already done now. And it's because of the way you niggas act and the way you niggas carry yourselves and the thing that y'all do call yourself get back at white people. And when it's their turn, they getting back. That's not being racist. That's called being a human being. White people are not God. They have feelings and they react just like everybody else. They just react in a different way. So you may say that's racist for them doing that. It's not. They're a human being. And guess what? When you poke somebody and keep bullying somebody and keep handling somebody wrong, eventually they react. How they react is how they react. But it's hurt everybody of color. And when I say of color, I'm talking about Black people. Because the Mexican and Latinos, they got a culture. They got a hierarchy where they stick together. So niggas don't stick together. So niggas don't stick together, number one. And they done made a reputation for themselves so bad till they got the people that's in power pissed off. So any chance that those people have to execute their form of redemption, they do it. Y'all got Karmelo 35 years. It wasn't nobody else but y'all and y'all action. Y'all should have shut up, kept y'all mouth shut. And I'm talking to all you Black liberty, Black wokety woke liberals. when his daddy, Jeff Metcalf, went to the first press conference and tried to pray with the family, the family should have invited him in, prayed, and killed the racist narrative and moved forward and just let everything work itself out. Karmelo wouldn't have gotten no 35 years. Everybody would look at this as a situation that happened, which was unfortunate. The father came out and forgave him, prayed with the family, but instead, y'all racist handler, Dominique Alexander, and y'all went with the race narrative, got that man escorted out, and y'all made a can of worms for yourself. And like I said, I will be addressing the parents, Jeff Metcalf, and this thing he said, he is justified. He tried to do it the right way at first. And what y'all don't know is y'all would have helped the whole situation. This never would have been about race. And when it came down time to sentencing, if he would even got found guilty for murder, and probably the charges would have been different. Everything would have been different. But y'all hung y'all head on playing a rape court and victim, and it didn't work. And now y'all doubling down. Y'all making yourself look stupid, and y'all making everything worse for y'all and people who look like y'all, such as myself and y'all children. Let's continue.
Under a friend's tent, he defends himself against two thugs. They ordered him to leave the tent, have no jurisdiction over him. He defends himself. So the fact that they gave him first-degree murder, y'all, and not manslaughter, second-degree, first-degree, and even the fact, y'all, the judge, Austin's dad, have photos together on his Facebook page. The fact that the jury had not one black person on it.
I don't think the Karmelo Anthony case was really about self-defense. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but hear me out. Really, this is about the humanity of blackness versus the authority of whiteness. Black humanity and white authority. Can white people do whatever they want and say whatever they want to black people and get away with it, essentially? Austin Metcalf wouldn't have ran up on Karmelo if he wouldn't have thought he had the authority to do so. But in the black community, who gives the authority to tell somebody to leave? And if it isn't an actual authority, we're gonna call it out. That's a bully.
Yeah. Blade was under the size.
That's okay.
But it was unlawful for a school.
Was it a switch? I don't know what he had.
It was like it seemed like it was a multi-tool, almost like a Swiss Army.
Like with the little scissor.
So it wasn't another thing they've been lying about. It was a cleat sharpener. It was not a cleat sharpener. It was one of those little 6-in-1 blade with a little flashlight on it. Which can be fatal, as we know if you hit in the right area with it. Let's continue. And again, as I said already, he wasn't supposed to have that knife on the school property. And previously, he had got suspended for bringing a knife to school. This is not somebody who we playing that, he was just a good little boy tiptoeing through the tulip. But let's continue.
And everything and whatever. So it was small.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would argue the size of it alone, you wouldn't even think it's a deadly weapon.
First and foremost, the one thing that I would ask for people to do at this moment is pray for the Anthony family, because they have been legally lynched for the last year. And more so by this slaughterhouse of a courthouse as well as the family of the Metcalfs. So the energy right now is very white supremacy. They have shown up to be the pigs that they display with hate. They are celebrating the loss of life and the loss of freedom. So that's the energy. We have a devastated family who didn't know that they was going to have to let their son go back into a holdover because we have an overzealous prosecutor who lied throughout this trial, who put on liars as witnesses in order to be a saving grace for the white community so that they can win an election. That's what it feels like right now.
We already seen the prosecutor make clear that he wants it to be a long sentencing.
You wanted 3 kinds of jalapeno on your Whopper? You got it. Try the loaded jalapeno Whopper today.
As parents, we ask tough questions. What's in your mouth? What's going on?
What I heard from this man today is indicative of why it's important that it's people that look like us that are in courtrooms like that. This man disregarded human life the entire trial. He invoked race. He equated Dallas County as being the ghetto, opposed to Frisco being safe. They propaganda a photo of the deceased with Black people around praying, saying this is community. They use us as a prop in order to pitch their lynching. This man has been known to be an overzealous prosecutor when it comes to us. He see us as what was the statement that free labor? That's what he see us as.
We already got the money set aside for appeals bond. Why? All white jury, the judge and the DA are buddies, along with the dad, best friend. That's been our trump card. We already knew that.
God has spoken, and you cannot make me believe that as many gray-haired white women on that jewelry is filled with white guilt about going to heaven. Is not gonna have no compassion about a kid that's been straight A from the time he's ever read a book in school, has no history of violence, has saved children's lives by risking his own life by jumping in to save somebody from drowning.
People care about. Nobody gives a fuck about nothing we give a fuck about, bro. They don't care about saving us, bro. They don't care about, they ain't even giving a fuck how it looked no more, bro. This shit look all racist. We look like we back in the 50s. But they don't even care. They doing it in our face and showing us we still don't mean nothing to them, bro. They showing us every day, every which way, bro. How could you turn around and convict Karmelo Anthony of a murder like this after y'all just let Rick tell over murder? Then you got all these Asians coming up trying to tell us how we should feel.
We have to teach our children to keep their hands to themselves because potentially a Black person might stab you. Don't you think that's a good lesson to teach your children?
It's a good lesson, Hotep, if you're trying to perpetuate the worst stereotypes that people out there say in terms of what to do when you're around certain demographics.
I'm pretty sure if we look at social media, that stereotype already exists. Elon pushes it every day, so let's not act like I'm making it up.
Well, no, you're not making it up. You're perpetuating it.
Yes, I am, because that's how we operate.
Well, who's the we?
Black people. We have a fuck around and find out policy. Don't start no shit, won't be no shit. Keep your hands to yourself because we might hurt you. That is evident, and we are not apologetic about that. That is a stereotype, and stereotypes, just like you wouldn't walk into a tiger cage and mess with a tiger because it'll bite your head off. You don't want to fuck with Black people because we might fucking kill you. I'm not afraid of the stereotype. Whether you want to teach your kids the stereotype or not, doesn't matter to me. But I would tell my children, white, Black, Latino, Asian, don't put your hands on people unless it's in self-defense. That's where the conversation starts with me. Had Austin Metcalf had his father around, but his father was beating on his wife, unfortunately. Had his father been around, he could have taught him to keep his hands to himself, but obviously he learned from his father not to keep his hands to himself. That's why I say we need to have that talk with our children. Again, you won't agree to that, and that's problematic.
I won't agree to that it's always best to keep your hands to yourself to avoid conflict. We can all agree with that. If your point is to say it's always best to avoid conflict with us because we will fucking kill you if we don't like the way you touched us, congrats on setting relations back 100 years by confirming the worst stereotypes that anybody's ever had. And by the way,
I don't think so.
Adams said what he said. Well, you don't think so, but and maybe if you want to talk about statistical overrepresentation when it comes to crime, right, it's that mentality that actually contributes to that statistical overrepresentation. And maybe you should be focusing on the right lessons for your community as opposed to the what you think is the right lessons for the white community.
I'm glad you brought that up. Because I have no interest in telling Black people to turn into pussies. No, we are violent people. Humans are violent people. We've seen that all throughout history. If white people want to die because they're putting their hands on the people, you can teach your people to be peaceful. I'm not telling Black people to be peaceful. I'm not telling Black people to lay down and let people push them. We're not doing that. That's what you white people like to do. We're not doing that. So no, if you guys have a...
And guess what? That's why y'all suffering systematically, and y'all will continue. And again, like I say, man, it may be a silver lining in all this. And the silver lining will be that you Negroes go back to Wall Street, black stuff like Black Wall Street, and begin to support each other. But I don't see that happening. And the reason why I don't see that happening, because again, we have a culture issue. We have a culture issue. We have there's a whole spiritual and mental, mental cleanse, salvation that we need to see. We have to I'm talking about, some situations. I was telling somebody the other day concerning something else, but it can go for this too. In some situations, you can fix things if they're broken. But once something is shattered, it's total loss. You have to rebuild. And that's where the black community is at today. There's no fixing this. This has to be torn down and rebuilt, right? And people like him have to be eradicated. White people are going to have to do what they have to do in their community to eradicate the white liberals. And we are going to have to do what we have to do to eradicate these people who are holding us back. We are at a time now where it either be reformed or be removed. It's nothing else to say. For you to sit there and say stuff like this and basically double and triple down on this young man for killing another young man just because he was white. Because you niggas don't say that same energy for niggas, because they killing each other right now as my lips moving in a hood near you. But let's continue. These dudes are pathetic.
Stereotype. And it's a stereotype 13 and 50. It exists all throughout social media. Everybody's talking about it nowadays, especially now with this trial. I'm not here to fight that. You can think it's wrong. I believe it's right. I believe in defending myself. And if it has to escalate, then it is what it is.
Hate these niggas that were raised by their mama, man. Damn.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Honestly, I don't even know what to say. I'm just speechless at this point in regards to the mental gymnastics that I am witnessing of delusional people defending this, right? And then you have some who just, say the quiet part out loud, which is that, yeah, black people are violent savages who cannot control themselves. And, hey, if you end up pushing a black person, then expect to be stabbed in the heart, right? As a result. Okay, that's how savage and unhinged black people are, right? And you have black people who are basically confirming this and saying, yeah. No, that's totally how we are. And they're proud of that. Right. And then they wonder why is it that black people haven't built the damn thing, right? Why black people are still at the bottom, why we can't get ahead, why we're the laughing stock really of this country, to be honest with you. I'm just keeping it all to 100. Behind closed doors, every race is having this conversation and they're pointing a finger at black people and they're saying, these people are embarrassing.
Absolutely.
Okay? And I'm not going to lie to you.
Absolutely.
I've been behind those closed doors and yeah, I've heard these conversations and it is what it is.
Absolutely.
I can't be mad about it.
Me neither.
I can't.
Truth is truth.
There, right? All the evidence is that I'm not entirely sure. How is it that you expect to live in a civilized society where people are basically saying a push justifies somebody being stabbed in the heart? But that same mindset, that same psychology is why black neighborhoods are so violent. Why black people experience so much violence at the hands of other black folks. It's the low impulse behavior that is being justified and glorified by a lot of individuals on the internet, right? Who then boo-hoo, whine, and cry about stereotyping and profiling. And why do they think that black people are so violent? Why do they treat me like this? It's because this is how you present yourself, right? That's why you get treated the way that you get treated. I mean, this is not hard to figure out. So the unfortunate reality is that these people are so brainwashed that they're now running around and attacking random white people over this conviction of Karmelo. Like this video that is going super viral on the internet featuring one of these, again, criminals, right? Running around attacking a random white person because of this.
Hey, wasn't you on jury selection?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
He was on jury selection.
Oh.
He take that. He ain't been on jury selection.
I ain't worried about it. You gonna die. You on jury? What you on jury? You on jury selection? You was on jury selection.
Bunch of dudes who was raised by their mama and just acting out like a woman in a male body. Just so feminine and gay. But let's continue.
Oh, not for Anthony, not for Karmelo Anthony. Oh, it might be. I thought you was on jurisdiction for might be. Man, what? Wow. Wow. Yeah, this is the country that we're living in, guys, where you have these individuals, and I know he probably did this as a joke to go viral, right? So they're running around attacking random white people, accusing them of being on the Karmelo Anthony jury pool, even though this is in Florida, right? A whole nother state, and you got people using this as an excuse to run around attacking people based off their race. And see, here's the irony of this, right? Here's the irony. There's a ton of black people in the comment section defending this, right? They think it's okay. They laugh and they kiki and ha-ha about, oh man, this so funny, this so funny, right? But here's the crazy part, right? The same argument that they're making right now to justify what Karmelo did, Karmelo murdering Austin Metcalf, had this man got up and stabbed this guy in the heart, right? Because he was attacked. According to the arguments of the so-called pro-blacks, the Karmelo Anthony defenders, he would be in the right. It would be self-defense, right? Think about that. Think about that. The same people who are defending Karmelo Anthony, claiming that he acted in self-defense, they're cool with this, right? They're not telling this guy, hey, keep your hands to yourself. Keep your hands to yourself, right? That you're not supposed to put your hands on people like this. All of a sudden, that goes out the window when a black person attacking a white guy, right? Crazy how that works. Because again, if the white guy got up and defended himself, and then this individual ended up losing his life as a result, apparently this is him. He looks like all the rest of them, right? Then again, these people will be boo-hoo-whine and cry. Oh, well, see, this is wrong. You can't use deadly force just because you got hit. That's what they be saying. That's exactly what they would be saying. They be demanding that this man be thrown in prison, right?
And I'm sorry I can't get to all the comments. There's way too many. But somebody, they got their name and they code for dragon. People act like this doesn't occur. People act like this does occur every day. We need to start boycotting gangster rap, BET, Hollywood depictions, and how black identity is a caricature that this generation sadly absorb and believe. We don't need to pass down any more poisonous generational trauma. Preach, my brother. Preach. Preach, my brother. Code for dragon. Preach, my brother. Also, I don't know who you is. Catherine Dorian, the same people who will say they're targeted by the cops are the ones who think they can just stab someone there when they're upset. Preach, Miss Catherine Dorian. Preach. It's crazy that he can't even see that he sounds like a maniac. This is rationalization. He is black. That's crazy. People hate truth. Boy, you got a perfect name. People hate truth is your channel. It should get worse after the way people are acting. You want to know what real privilege is legitimately believing you can stab white people because they offended you and get away with it. Preach, Miss Penelope 9441. Preach. But let's continue, man. I want to read one more comment from the undesirable one. Does anyone remember that incident in Florida where the black father was killed in front of his child because the man touched him? The man was not prosecuted. The only person sounding silly is the host. Again, I don't know that case. Can you post it in the comments? We can all go check it out. This channel is a pro-truth channel. Go put it in the comment. But I'm gonna address you real quick before I get back to the show, Miss the Undesirable One. Listen, we got to stop with these whole, well, this case happened, that case happened. Ooh, this case happened. First of all, your information is anecdotal. I have no form of verifying it. But let's just say what you're saying happened. Florida is a whole nother state, two whole different people, different case, all different situations. I'm sure the media wasn't involved because believe me, again, the media makes things worse. And I told you, if you was listening, I don't know if you've been here, but again, this could have all been went away quietly. Manslaughter hold 2 to 20 in Texas. He could have got 2 years credit for time served, suspended sentence, and went home. This would all could have happened if on the initial press conference when this all happened, and Jeff Metcalf Jeff went up there, Austin father, Jeff Metcalf, to pray with the family and say he forgive him. They refused and kicked him out, made this about race to raise money and sacrifice their son. Because they said to themselves, and the world, everybody that's righteous took the father's side. So you mean to tell me this father, they killed themselves when they did that? You mean to tell me for money, you're going to tell your son, you're going to tell a man who coming to pray, not coming to speak for his son, not coming to try to, just coming to pray with the family. And you're going to get this man escorted out so you can hold on to a race narrative to raise money? The whole world, including the people in power, which is white people, was upset about that. And it trickled down to that judge and he got something that he might have shouldn't have got or might have wouldn't have got. So when you come and you try to do this whole whataboutism, let's stick to the fact. Let's stick to this case. And in order to argue what the law is, you must know what the facts are. The facts are he was in Austin's space where Austin was placed in charge, which was testified by his black coach. Austin asked him to leave. He didn't leave. Was asked 15 times to leave. It escalated. He was shoved and he took out a knife that he had already threatened Austin with and stabbed him in the heart. Full stop. Nowhere in America can you go into someone else's space. And when I say go into someone else's space, I'm not necessarily talking about their home, their vehicle. I'm talking about to their personal space in a mall, wherever. And I'm speaking from a legal perspective because everything's on camera. You cannot approach someone in their space, kill them. I don't care if they punch you in the mouth. If you went in their space and killed them and they don't even have a weapon, nowhere in the United States of America is that self-defense. But let's continue.
For the rest of his life. So, it's shameful, it's embarrassing, it's humiliating, and there's no bottom for black people in this country. You hate to basically characterize all black people that way, but it's so many of these individuals that are coming out and saying stuff like this. It's like, all right, well, maybe, just maybe, that is what a lot of black people think. I don't know, but it's insane. I mean, you have people flooding Karmelo's gifts and go with money after the murder conviction. Donations pouring in. Most of the people, anonymous, of course, right? They don't want to put their name or their identity behind their donations to a murderer, right? But that's what they were doing. They were literally donating to a murderer because he killed a white person. And it got so bad that Gifts and Go took down the page, right? They had to take down the donation page as a result. I really thought that after all of this, after Karmelo was found guilty, I was like, all right, these people are just going to go away. They're probably never going to admit out loud that they were wrong, right? They're just going to go away and, people are going to move over their lives. But that's not what's happening. You even have Cardi B coming out, losing her mind. Wow, just freaking wow, disgusting. This is not justice. This is trying to make an example. I think that when you have somebody stab somebody in the chest over a push, yeah, they should be made an example out of. Why? Because we have to set the example and we cannot allow the precedent that you can kill somebody over a push. Again, that's not a civilized society, okay? It's not a civilized society. I don't know. That may be the society that these black people are living in their communities, which, I mean, it's probably not far off. It's probably accurate. That is what they're living in, right? Which is why their communities are shitholes. Which is why a lot of these people who are defending this, they are living in shitholes with stuff like this, where somebody being killed over disrespect, perceived disrespect, is normalized. It's normalized. And that's why they come out here and they're defending this. They see this as right, because again, this is what they experience on a daily basis in their own community. And this is why their communities are a disaster. It's not the white man, it's stuff like this. It's this culture. And that is what's being put on display for the country to see right now. It's a clown show, it really is. I mean, I'm getting secondhand embarrassment, right? You know, I mean, it's something that it saddens me at my core, right? Because it really confirms that there's no hope for black folks. There's no hope for the black community. None, zero. Because a vast majority of these individuals just are not very smart. And again, they have this culture of violence ingrained in them. So when you're not very smart and you have a culture of violence, then the current state of the black community is what you get as a result. It ain't got nothing to do with the white man. It ain't got nothing to do with white. Black people have had 50, 60 plus years since the civil rights era to get our shit together, and we haven't done it. And this is why, right? The reaction to Karmelo's.
We regress instead. We actually regress. We were doing way better before the civil rights movement. And I got a link in my bio to go check those videos out if you disagree. But let's continue.
Verdict is exactly why we are behind and why we're never going to make progress. We're not. That's the honest to God truth. It really is. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. And these people are not helping themselves out. They're not helping out black people at all. We're our own worst enemy. And I think that, again, this is a great example of that. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.
And yeah, that's it, man. I'm about to get out of here. I want to read a couple comments, man. Read a couple comments before I get out of here. Thank y'all for coming out. Like, comment, subscribe. It's free. Like, comment, and subscribe. Please, while y'all here before we close out, like, comment, subscribe. I got so many comments, I can't read them all. It's way over 100, maybe more than that. I can't really read them all. Code for Dragon, you dropped some fire, man. Shout out to you, man. Critical 509 said, my parents raised me right, so whenever somebody tells me to leave, I need to leave. Somewhere the first thing I look for is the exit instead of a weapon. Exactly. Mr. J. Merritt, so we can support. Y'all support the killing of babies every day by your president. Keep your hand to yourself. Explain to your kid not bully because you're bigger and have backup. How are you talking like that? Their community is your black, white Klan member. Well, again, Jay Merritt is one of the people who black people like me have to suffer behind. Very low IQ, very victim-minded. He was probably raised by his mother, so that feminine energy of being a victim is just exuding out of him into my comment section. Donald Trump is anti-abortion. He's the one, the president of Barack Obama was the one who supported abortion up to the 9th month. Up to the 9th month, said the baby come out alive, you can kill him on the operating table. Go look that up. He was pro-abortion. He was pro-faggotry in this country. Donald Trump is against all that. As a matter of fact, that's why the Roe v. Wade was overturned, because Donald Trump. Since we speak in facts, let's speak facts. I'm not. You talk. You can go talk that that's kind of nonsense with somebody on your level, which has a very low IQ, but that don't work with me. I know what I'm talking about. Donald Trump also is a law and order president, which is why Memphis, Washington, D.C., and Chicago is safer than they ever been probably in the last 30 to 40 years. A lot of mothers don't have to bury their son and daughter because of Donald Trump and his law and order policies. Not to mention him getting these criminals out of our country that came illegal. Almost, and I think most illegal immigrants are not criminals, but some of them are, and it's been evident over the last past years of the things that they have done. Kill, rape, pedophilia, you name it. And you're right, you can't support whoever you want. You can't support evil. But if you're gonna do it private. Don't come on the internet and do it, because the people that run you, the company that you work for, unless you self-employed. And if you're self-employed, you still gonna benefit more dealing with white people, because black people really don't support black businesses like that, because they don't want to see nobody wearing their money. They don't want to see nobody who look like them doing better than them. We know these issues that black community have. We can play these games all day, which I don't play here on this Pro Truth channel. Number one. Number two, you can support whoever you want when you come out and make it known to the world on these social media apps that white people and everybody else got, and they can go look at these things. That way, now they can be upset and they can be angry, like y'all angry for something that happened to y'all great grandparent, so they can be angry and perform. They can get back at you for that. You know what I'm saying? And so don't cry about, oh man, I'm being handled this way because of the color of my skin. You're being handled the way you're being handled because of that mindset that you have. You're being handled the way you've been handled in this country because of your reputation. And the bad part about it is people like our children, the youth, people like myself, I'm gonna take myself out of it. But people in the world that are black, that are not like you degenerates, not like you victim, not like you wicked, dumbed down, demoralized black, they gotta suffer because they got the same skin color. But I thank y'all, everybody, for coming out. We'll be doing part 4 of this Friday, between 3 and 5. I'm guessing. I don't really know, because you know the way things work in time. But I will say this: I thank y'all for coming out. Like, comment, subscribe. It's free for life. And man, I appreciate y'all, man. I'm eternally grateful for y'all support, the negative and the positive. And I'm out, man. Y'all have a blessed Wednesday.
I could have been stopped doing this shit. Only reason I do this shit because the real niggas asked me to. A fake nigga couldn't relate to me. Top gunners, check me out. Only us, check me out. Strap her with a kilo, check me out. Put her on the bus, check me out. Stand up nigga, check me out. Always 100, check me out. You can bring the work back, check me out. If you don't want it, check me out. See, mama love me, that's my baby, but papa left me. Yeah, he left me. I put a bitch on timeout if she upset me. That's a fact. Fuck with me, you won't regret me. Still on the mind of every hoe trying to forget me. I get them things across the border. Your man on trial, but you won't go get him a lawyer. What's up with that? You poppin' bottles, you getting fly, but you don't send commissary to niggas that's inside. See, we don't coincide, we don't live by the same rules. And we done got hungry, these lanes became full. Real niggas in my corner, you know that I can't lose. And I can't go to jail for a body they can't prove. Got niggas in the feds, they never coming home. Can't never see they daughter, only talking through a phone. And you know we screaming free you forever. Treat your kids like they mine. Wait your turn, real nigga. You get rich in due time. I feel like Nino when he first opened the Carter. Check me out. I feel like Tony when him and Sosa became partners. Check me out. Bring me out crab legs and grilled shrimp for starters. Filet me young for my main meal. I'm a mobster. Ruger rap. Top gunners, check me out. Only us, check me out. Strap her with a kilo, check me out. Put her on the bus, check me out. Stand up nigga, check me out. Always 100, check me out. You can bring the work back, check me out. If you don't want it, check me out.